Super rich system, love 10 times cash back. Zhao Feiyu was angry about his wife's cheating and divorced her. Unexpectedly, he awakened the system of cashback for the rich. As long as he spent money on women, he could get 10 times or even 100 times the cashback. Chapter 1, Cheating and Divorce, 10x Cashback. Zhao Feiyu had noticed something strange about his wife, Li Shanshan, recently. She had been dressing up more extravagantly and spending money recklessly, well beyond their family's financial capacity. Zhao Feiyu found this odd. So, one day, after Li Shanshan left for work, he quietly followed her. To his surprise, Li Shanshan didn't go to work but headed to a hotel instead. A chill ran down Zhao Feiyu's spine. Trying to reassure himself, he cautiously followed her up to their hotel room. It's impossible. Shanshan would never betray me, he thought. But when Zhao Feiyu heard sounds coming from the room, he completely lost control. However, the strong sense of reason quickly kicked in, and Zhao Feiyu calmed himself down. After a brief moment of thought, he dialed his father-in-law's number and informed him that the whole family should come to their hotel. 10 minutes later, his father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, and aunt all arrived at the hotel. What did you call us here for? Zhao Feiyu's father-in-law looked at him with contempt, not bothering to hide his disapproval. Zhao Feiyu earned 8,000 yuan a month, all of which he spent on Li Shanshan. During holidays, he also bought gifts for his in-laws. But they looked down on him, criticizing him for earning so little. Compared to the aunt's husband, who was in construction, Zhao Feiyu seemed useless. His in-laws had always looked down on him. Zhao Feiyu didn't say anything. Instead, he knocked on the door to the room. Soon, Li Shanshan's voice came from inside, "Who's there?" "Room service." Zhao Feiyu replied coldly. At that point, it seemed like the family began to understand what was going on. When the door opened, Zhao Feiyu stormed in. Inside, Li Shanshan was wearing a sexy lace nightgown, her hair damp, her face flushed clearly just having finished something. On the bed lay a somewhat overweight man, smoking a cigarette. It was his boss, Jing Real. Seeing this scene, Zhao Feiyu felt as though the sky had fallen. "Did you see that? Did you see it? This is your daughter, my wife, cheating on me with another man behind my back." Zhao Feiyu shouted angrily at Li Shanshan. With that, he jumped onto the bed and punched Jing Real. But before he could do much, Jing Real kicked him away. The man was large and strong. As Zhao Feiyu got up, he looked around and saw his in-laws standing there, unmoving. There was no expression of shock on their faces. It seemed like they had expected this. Even Li Shanshan showed no shame or fear from being caught cheating. Instead, she sat calmly. "Since you've seen it, then let's get a divorce," Li Shanshan said, her voice indifferent. Zhao Feiyu forced back his anger and looked at his father-in-law. "This is your daughter, cheating on me. What are you going to do about it?" "What are we going to do?" His father-in-law snorted coldly. "Didn't Li Shanshan already say it? Get a divorce." "Exactly," his brother-in-law chimed in. "How much do you earn in a month? Can you even support my sister? Manager Jing makes 100,000 a month and buys her bags worth 40-50,000. You can't even afford a car for me. What good is having you as a brother-in-law? Manager Jing is the one who deserves to be my sister's husband. Aunt, I told you not to marry him from the start. But you wouldn't listen. I told him to go work for Li Dong, but he wouldn't. How can you live on 8,000 yuan a month?" Zhao Feiyu's aunt said sarcastically, wearing a designer bag and heavy makeup. Li Dong was her husband. "Divorce. Get divorced now." Zhao Feiyu's mother-in-law yelled, hands on her hips. "Look at yourself in the mirror. My daughter has been married to you for 3 years. She has had the worst luck." Seeing this scene, Zhao Feiyu finally understood. Li Shanshan's affair they had probably known all along. It seemed like they had all tacitly approved of it. They had been waiting for this day. Fine. Fine. Zhao Feiyu laughed bitterly, shaking his head in self-mockery. Then, he left the room, utterly defeated. "So you want a divorce, huh? We'll get one now." Zhao Feiyu sneered. "That's what you said." Hearing this, Li Shanshan's face lit up with joy. The family exchanged pleased glances and smiled happily. Li Shanshan had been worried that Zhao Feiyu would blackmail her for money after discovering the affair. But now, he seemed so obedient. Har har. Big sis, you're finally getting rid of this useless Zhao Feiyu. Zhao Feiyu's brother-in-law, Li Xiaogang, shouted excitedly from behind. His aunt, Li Maimai, added, after you divorce him, just go ahead and marry manager Jing. Cough. Cough. Jing Jiakai, who had been silent, choked on his words. Don't worry, don't worry. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, the glaring sunlight made Zhao Feiyu feel dizzy. Li Shanshan and her family cheered behind him, as if divorce was the happiest thing in the world. Looking at Li Shanshan, who had a beaming smile on her face, Zhao Feiyu suddenly remembered the time 3 years ago when they were dating. Li Shanshan, looking innocent and fragile, had curled up in his arms and whispered softly, please don't ever leave me, okay? Zhao Feiyu didn't fight over the property. The house they lived in was rented, and he had just one car with little savings. He didn't want anything because he had completely lost faith in their relationship and marriage. Ding dong. A cold metallic voice rang out in his mind. Godly rich system activated. The host can spend money on any woman, and the amount spent will be refunded to the host tenfold. Zhao Feiyu, who had been lost in sadness, suddenly snapped back to reality. His in-laws had already left, and he was left alone. He looked around, trying to locate the source of the voice. The host can now see a woman's favorability toward him. When the favorability reaches 100, the cashback rate will increase to 100x. At that moment, Zhao Feiyu realized the voice wasn't coming from his surroundings but from his mind. The system. Having read novels before, Zhao Feiyu quickly understood what was happening. Spending money on women will give me cashback. Is this real? Zhao Feiyu only had a little over 1,000 yuan left. Thinking about it, he looked around and immediately locked onto a beautiful woman. To test the authenticity of the system, Zhao Feiyu walked up to her and said, "Hey, beautiful, can I buy you a milk tea?" The woman looked him up and down. Zhao Feiyu wasn't extremely handsome, but he was quite pleasant to look at. The woman rolled her eyes, clearly disgusted, and said, "You're such a jerk. No wonder your wife divorced you. Just got divorced and now you're hitting on me. Shameless." Zhao Feiyu felt embarrassed and awkward. It turned out that this girl had seen him come out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Zhao Feiyu. Just then, a female voice came from behind him. Chapter 2, First Love. Zhao Feiyu turned around and saw a somewhat familiar girl, waving at him while wearing a white dress. Song Manli. Zhao Feiyu widened his eyes in surprise upon seeing her. What are you doing here? I was just passing by. I thought I was seeing things at first, but it really is you. Song Manli smiled shyly, not daring to look Zhao Feiyu directly in the eye. Song Manli wasn't just anyone, she was Zhao Feiyu's first love from high school. They had drifted apart after getting into different universities and their long-distance relationship eventually ended. It had been 5 or 6 years since they last saw each other. How about I treat you to a milk tea? Zhao Feiyu quickly suggested. Sure. At that moment, Zhao Feiyu noticed Song Manli's favorability towards him. Song Manli, favorability 80. Although they had broken up, the nostalgia from their first love made Song Manli's feelings for Zhao Feiyu still quite serious. They went to a milk tea shop, and Zhao Feiyu ordered 2 cups of milk tea, costing 14 yuan in total. Just as they were about to sit down, the cold metallic voice rang in his mind again. Transaction successful. 10x cashback, 140 yuan. Ding dong. Immediately, Zhao Feiyu's phone buzzed with a bank notification. 140 yuan has been deposited into your account. Your new balance is 1,240 yuan. It's really true. Zhao Feiyu's heart raced with excitement. By the way, how come you're here? As they sat in the milk tea shop, Song Manli suddenly asked. Mentioning this, Zhao Feiyu's expression darkened slightly, but it quickly disappeared. He sighed, I just got divorced. I came straight from the Civil Affairs office. Divorced? Song Manli looked at him in shock but quickly realized her reaction was a bit too much. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. No problem. Zhao Feiyu waved it off casually. Can I ask why? Song Manli was a little curious. She thought I was poor, Zhao Feiyu laughed bitterly. She thought I couldn't make enough money, so she cheated with another man. An awkward silence fell between them. Zhao Feiyu quickly moved past the topic and looked up. What about you? Are you married? Nope. I'm still single, a leftover woman. Song Manli smiled wryly. Why don't you introduce someone to me? How about me? Zhao Feiyu joked. Har. I wouldn't want you, you're already divorced. Song Manli teased. True, Zhao Feiyu said with a hint of self-deprecation. However, Song Manli changed the topic. I wouldn't recommend it. Really? Zhao Feiyu looked up in surprise. If they could rekindle their relationship, it would be perfect. Breaking up with her had always been a huge regret for Zhao Feiyu. I was just kidding. By the way, did you hear about the high school reunion? Zhao Feiyu shook his head. A high school reunion? I didn't know about it. What? You're not in the group. The class monitor Gao Chung organized it a week ago. It's this Saturday, at Chaoyang International Hotel. Song Manli took out her phone and opened the group chat. I heard Gao Chung started his own company and is really rich. He's covering all the expenses for the reunion. Let us go together. Sounds good. It's been so many years, I'm really looking forward to it. After agreeing, they left the milk tea shop. Seeing a cosmetic store nearby, Zhao Feiyu took the opportunity to say, It's been years, let me buy you a gift. Wow. I remember you used to be so shy. You never bought me gifts unless I asked. Song Manli laughed teasingly. They entered the store, which was quite upscale. After some browsing, Song Manli picked a lipstick that cost around 200 yuan. When she was about to hand it to Zhao Feiyu, she noticed him frowning slightly. After 3 years of dating, Song Manli knew this expression well. It meant that Zhao Feiyu was not quite happy with her choice. Clearly, the item she picked was too expensive. But the next moment, Song Manli was stunned. Zhao Feiyu smiled and said, Isn't this a bit too cheap? How about this one? He picked up a lipstick worth 1,000 yuan. Do you like this one? Isn't this too expensive? Song Manli hesitated. As long as you like it, it doesn't matter how much it costs. Zhao Feiyu insisted, letting the shop assistant choose the right shade, and he paid without hesitation. Just as they were leaving. Transaction successful. 10x cashback, 10,000 yuan. Nice. Looking at the 10,000 yuan in his account, Zhao Feiyu felt exhilarated. He couldn't quite find the words to describe the feeling. However, this time, it didn't trigger any increase in favorability. After leaving the cosmetics store, Zhao Feiyu glanced at the time, a light bulb going off in his head. It's getting late. How about I treat you to a meal and we catch up? Song Manli hesitated. She thought Zhao Feiyu might be trying to win her back, but after being apart for so many years, she was reluctant to dive into those emotions again. The end of their relationship wasn't pleasant, and she had some reservations about reconnecting. Okay, sure. Seeing the eager expression on Zhao Feiyu's face, Song Manli finally nodded. Zhao Feiyu quickly hailed a taxi. Driver, to Yunduan Restaurant. Yunduan Restaurant was a French restaurant. Zhao Feiyu had brought Li Shanshan here for her birthday. It was quite expensive, costing at least a few thousand yuan for a meal. Now that Zhao Feiyu had more than 10,000 yuan, he planned to keep it within the limit to get a cashback of 100,000 yuan. Before long, they arrived at Yunduan Restaurant. But to Zhao Feiyu's surprise, Li Shanshan and Jing Jiakai were also there. As their eyes met, Li Shanshan looked clearly shocked and surprised. When they divorced, Zhao Feiyu didn't ask for anything. Li Shanshan knew exactly how much money he had. There was no way he could afford to eat at such a high-end restaurant. I really underestimated you. Li Shanshan looked down at Zhao Feiyu, dressed in a black evening gown. No wonder you wanted a divorce. It turns out you already found someone else. Song Manli noticed the tension in the air and furrowed her brows. From Li Shanshan's words, she realized this woman was Zhao Feiyu's ex-wife. Sorry. We have no relationship anymore. Zhao Feiyu ignored Li Shanshan and called over a waiter. He handed the menu to Song Manli. Order whatever you like. Chapter 3, Credit Card or Debit Card. Har har. Li Shanshan covered her mouth and laughed aloud. Zhao Feiyu, I really can't figure you out. Tomorrow, when you go to the office, Manager Zheng will definitely tell you to pack your things and leave. Now you're using a credit card to spend. How are you planning to pay it back next month? Hearing this, Song Manli, holding the menu, paused for a moment and looked at Zhao Feiyu with some concern. Is what she said true? Maybe we should just skip eating. Song Manli thought Li Shanshan was being serious. She didn't want Zhao Feiyu to bear the burden of such consequences. But Zhao Feiyu shook his head. Why not eat? Order something. This place isn't run by her. Seeing his attitude, Song Manli didn't refuse but already had a plan in her mind. A meal here wouldn't be cheap. After they were done, she give Zhao Feiyu the money. The two of them ordered red wine and steak. The waiter was about to leave, but Zhao Feiyu stopped him. We haven't ordered wine yet. The waiter was slightly surprised. He had heard Li Shanshan's words and had expected Zhao Feiyu to just order a simple meal. But to his surprise, he was ordering wine. The cheapest wine here was over 3,000 yuan, but Zhao Feiyu wasn't familiar with wines, so he simply chose a bottle based on price. Seeing the prices of the food they ordered earlier, he went ahead and ordered a bottle of wine worth over 8,000 yuan. This is too expensive. Let us just skip the wine. Song Manli really felt sorry for Zhao Feiyu. She thought he was just using wine as a way to get back at his ex-wife, and that he'd regret it later. But Zhao Feiyu smiled confidently. Don't worry, you still don't understand me. Am I the kind of person who acts without thinking about the consequences? I know you think I'm just spending to get back at her, but you're wrong. Someone like Li Shanshan isn't even worth that. He glanced at Li Shanshan, who was sitting nearby. All right. Li Shanshan was furious. I'm really curious to see how you plan to pay for this. This meal is easily going to cost over 10,000 yuan. Waiter. The restaurant environment here is terrible. How can you let others disturb our meal? If you don't do something about this, I'll report you. Hearing this, the waiter's face turned pale, and he quickly told Li Shanshan. Miss, please return to your seat and don't disturb other customers. Soon, the red wine and steak arrived. Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli chatted and laughed as they ate, enjoying the meal greatly. Meanwhile, Li Shanshan, who was sitting not far away, was feeling extremely uncomfortable. She couldn't believe that Zhao Feiyu, who had just gotten divorced, was out eating and having such a good time with a woman. It made her feel as if she had eaten a bitter pill. Li Shanshan couldn't allow Zhao Feiyu to enjoy life post-divorce. She wanted to see him struggle and suffer, only then would she feel at ease. After a while, the meal was finished. As Zhao Feiyu stood up to pay, Li Shanshan immediately followed him. At the cashier. Hello, your total is 11,000 yuan. Even Li Shanshan was surprised. They had only ordered around 5,000 yuan worth of food, but Zhao Feiyu had spent over 10,000 yuan. Using a credit card to impress a girl, you sure have your way, Zhao Feiyu. Over 10,000 yuan. I want to see how you're going to pay it back next month. If you can't, you'll be blacklisted and the bank will sue you. I'm curious to see how you'll handle that. Li Shanshan said smugly, clearly already imagining the bank's lawsuit. She looked at Song Manli and said, Maybe you don't know, but I'm Zhao Feiyu's ex-wife. We just came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau a few hours ago. Now, look at him bringing you here for a meal. That tells you exactly what kind of man he is. Song Manli, hearing this, looked at Li Shanshan with some disdain and said, Aren't you the same? Just divorced, and now you're out having dinner with a man. At this, Li Shanshan's face changed, and she snapped. He's broke now, his face is cleaner than his wallet. You'll regret it if you follow him. It'll be a disaster for you. Song Manli smiled coldly. Sorry, whether he has money or not doesn't matter to me. I know him better than you do. With that, Song Manli took Zhao Feiyu's arm. By the way, let me introduce myself. I'm Zhao Feiyu's first girlfriend. We've known each other since high school. What? Li Shanshan was so furious she was shaking. She had just been slapped in the face by Song Manli. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu took out his phone to make the payment. Li Shanshan glanced at his phone and saw that the bank card he was using to pay had the last four digits, 4880. Li Shanshan immediately realized that this was Zhao Feiyu's debit card, not a credit card. This meant that Zhao Feiyu hadn't been spending on borrowed credit. In that instant, Zhao Feiyu completed the payment, and the confirmation sound echoed in his mind. Transaction successful, tenfold cashback of 110,000 yuan. Excuse me, move aside. Good dogs don't block their way. Zhao Feiyu put his phone away, forced his way between Li Shanshan and Jing Jiakai, and left the Cloud restaurant. As the two walked away, Li Shanshan ground her teeth in anger, muttering, Zhao Feiyu, I won't let you off. Beside her, Jing Jiakai agreed. Don't worry, babe. I'll get him fired tomorrow. After leaving the restaurant, Song Manli let go of Zhao Feiyu. At the same time, a notification appeared. Song Manli's friendship level +5. It seemed that Li Shanshan's words had caused Song Manli's favorability to increase. Thanks for today, Zhao Feiyu said with great satisfaction. Seeing Li Shanshan's defeated expression had brought him immense joy. It's nothing. It was just a small thing. I couldn't stand her arrogant attitude. She's the one who cheated, yet she tries to make you look like the bad guy. What a hypocrite. Song Manli snorted in disgust. By the way, I heard that man with her is your boss. Does that mean you're going to lose your job? Song Manli asked with some concern. Yeah, I'll pack up tomorrow. Then what will you do? Song Manli asked worriedly. It's fine. I still have some savings. Even if I don't work, I'll be okay. Zhao Feiyu smiled. Why don't you come work with me? I can ask my boss for a favor. Song Manli offered kindly. No need, I appreciate it, but I have my own plans. Zhao Feiyu replied sincerely. This was the difference between Song Manli and Li Shanshan. Song Manli always cared about others, while Li Shanshan. As night fell, the two of them strolled through their bustling streets. After seeing Song Manli home, Zhao Feiyu found a hotel to stay at. Now that he had no home, he could only stay in a hotel. After a shower, Zhao Feiyu lay on the bed, feeling bored, and played with his phone. At that moment, he received an invitation to join a group chat. When he accepted, he realized it was Song Manli who had invited him into the class group. Wow! Who is this? The chat was lively, and as Zhao Feiyu entered, he quickly introduced himself. Hello, everyone, I'm Zhao Feiyu. Oh, it's Zhao Feiyu. Welcome, welcome. So, Zhao Feiyu, where are you working now? The class reunion is happening, why did it take you so long to join? Yeah, what have you been doing? We were deciding where to seat you. Seeing the warm welcome from his classmates, Zhao Feiyu was typing a response, but suddenly he stopped. Chapter 4, Voluntarily Resigning and Treating the Boss to a Meal. Chapter 4, Voluntarily Resign and Treat the Boss to a Meal. At Zhao Feiyu, speak up, Zhao Feiyu. The squad leader kept calling Zhao Feiyu in the group. This Saturday, bring your wife and kids along. Hey! Look at my brain. I'm so sorry, Zhao Feiyu. I forgot. Did you just get divorced today? Divorce? The others immediately felt that there was something to be said for this and started asking about it. Why did you get divorced? Why? Zhao Feiyu, you are really good. You got married so early and divorced. You have fooled this woman. By the way, where do you work now? As long as we have money, we can just find another one. You are such a dishonest boy. Song Manli likes you so much, but you married another woman. Seeing the comments in the group, Zhao Feiyu's face gradually became gloomy. I just got divorced today, how did Jiao Chong know about this? Song Manli couldn't say it unless. Thinking of this, a figure emerged in Zhao Feiyu's mind. Li Yunlei. This guy is also a high school classmate. Now I am in the same company with Zhao Feiyu. Zhao Feiyu works for a private design company. Zhao Feiyu and Li Yunlei belong to two different design teams and there is some competition between them. It seems like this guy is the one who is taking advantage of the situation. Stop talking. I just got divorced today, so I must be in a bad mood. Stop questioning me. Jiao Chong played both the good and bad roles while comforting Zhao Feiyu at the same time. Don't be afraid, brother. My wife cheated on me and we divorced. I also lost my job. After the class reunion, you can come work for me. Our company is in need of an elite security guard. Sir, security guards are security guards. They are elites. You are making it sound too grand. See here. Zhao Feiyu blocked it directly, then locked the screen and threw the phone aside. What a crap class reunion. Isn't that just Jiao Chong's personal show? Isn't it just a competition? Fortunately, Zhao Feiyu, who was upset, went out to relax. Ding dong. At this moment, Song Mani suddenly sent a message. Do you think class reunions are boring? Zhao Feiyu smiled and replied, isn't it like this now? You don't have to go on Saturday. Don't worry. We'll definitely get there. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu had an evil smile on his face, because he had already thought about what he was going to do that day. The evening breeze blows. Zhao Feiyu's mood improved a lot. The next morning, Zhao Feiyu came to the company. As soon as I walked in, everyone in the department looked over. Looking at the colleagues who once greeted me with smiles, now they are looking at me as if I were a plague. Zhao Feiyu walked straight to his seat, then packed up his things and prepared to go to the HR department to handle his resignation. You're quite self-aware. Jing Real was wearing a suit, revealing the white shirt underneath, which made his big belly bulge out. And you know to pack up as soon as you get here. When he saw this guy, Zhao Feiyu thought of the scene in the hotel yesterday. This matter has just begun. Zhao Feiyu straightened his chest and said while suppressing his anger. Oh? It seems that you want to take revenge on me. But I welcome it, because I am very curious about how you are going to take revenge. Are you going to use those credit cards that you have used up? Har har. Jing Real laughed so hard that he fell forward and backward. Seeing this, Zhao Feiyu turned around and said to everyone, you all should know why I resigned, so keep an eye on your wives, lest some guys take advantage of them. Hearing this, Jing Real's face suddenly changed. After saying that, Zhao Feiyu turned around and prepared to leave. And at this moment, a sexy beauty with long hair, high heels and a dignified face appeared at the door. Noisy, no work so early in the morning. Everyone immediately returned to their posts. Seeing Zhao Feiyu's appearance, the beauty frowned immediately. What's wrong? Boss, this guy wants to resign. Jing Real said immediately. To be honest, if Zhao Feiyu refused to leave, he would need some effort to drive Zhao Feiyu away. Now that Zhao Feiyu was so self-aware, it saved him a lot of effort. You were doing well, why are you leaving all of a sudden? The boss crossed his arms and pushed up his black-framed glasses with the other. Nothing, it's just disgusting to see some people. After saying that, Zhao Feiyu glanced at Jing Real next to him, walked around the beautiful boss and went to the Human Resources department. Boss, this is not my fault. He didn't do it. I didn't do anything. Jing Real spread his hands and said. Work. The beautiful boss shouted coldly and turned away. When he arrived at the office, he immediately called the secretary in and asked, what happened to Zhao Feiyu? The secretary hesitated, looked at the door and whispered, Manager Jing of the design department is having an affair with Zhao Feiyu's wife. Zhao Feiyu caught them in bed yesterday. They just got divorced. What? The boss was furious. This is simply destroying the harmonious atmosphere within the company. I said that dating is prohibited in the office, but Jing Real went straight to an employee's wife. Go and call Zhao Feiyu to me. Boom boom boom. Zhao Feiyu knocked on the office door. Enter. Boss, you called me. Have you resigned? What are you going to do next? Just take it one step at a time. Stay, I'll transfer you to another department. Sister Yafi, thank you for your kindness. You have been very kind to me, but the company can only do without him if I am there. Of course, I also know that she is a manager and I am just an ordinary employee. There is no comparison. Zhao Feiyu smiled calmly. Don't try to persuade me. Before you leave, I want to treat you to a meal and give you a gift, okay? Zhao Feiyu will not miss any opportunity to make money. Zhang Yafi stared at Zhao Feiyu for a long time, then smiled and said, okay. Japanese cuisine not far from the company. This is the most expensive place on this street. The two sat opposite each other. Zhang Yafi took off her high heels, revealing her slender feet wrapped in torn socks. What are you going to do next? Zhang Yafi's words were full of concern for Zhao Feiyu. Zhao Feiyu was able to enter the company thanks to Zhang Yafi's care. But the company is not controlled by Zhang Yafi alone, there are several major shareholders behind her. Otherwise, Zhao Feiyu would definitely be forced to stay. I'm divorced and I've lost my job. Now I just want to enjoy my life. Zhao Feiyu let out a long sigh. That also requires financial support. Zhang Yafi frowned, thinking that Zhao Feiyu had given up on her and was going to abandon himself. To tell you the truth, I am actually a rich second generation, an invisible rich second generation. Even my ex-wife doesn't know. She divorced me. It's her bad luck. She will regret it one day. After hearing this, Zhang Yafi just stared at Zhao Feiyu without saying anything. She knew Zhao Feiyu's situation, and the words of a rich second generation might be self-consolation. After dinner, the two left. Successful consumption, 10 times cashback 23,000 yuan. The meal cost 2,003, and more than 20,000 was deposited into the account again. Zhao Feiyu received a cashback of 110,000 yuan yesterday. After seeing Zhang Yafi today, he came up with an idea. Stroll along the bustling streets. Zhao Feiyu suddenly saw a diamond ring shop. Sister Yafi, I've been with the company for several years. Thank you for your support. Before you leave, I'd like to give you a gift. Please don't refuse. After saying that, he took Zhang Yafi into the diamond ring shop. Chapter 5: Buying a diamond ring, a sports car, and spending $1 million. Chapter 5: Buying a diamond ring, a sports car, and spending $1 million. Find me a diamond ring worth about 100,000 yuan. Zhao Feiyu said to the sales lady with a clear purpose. Hearing this, Zhang Yafi immediately stopped him. What are you doing? It's too expensive. For you, no matter how expensive it is, it's worth it. Zhao Feiyu's words made Zhang Yafi frown slightly. You kid, don't you have any idea about me? Zhao Feiyu burst into laughter. What are you thinking about, Sister Yafi? How dare I be a toad trying to eat swan meat? Soon, 5 or 6 rings of different styles were placed on the counter. Zhao Feiyu picked one up at random and put it on Zhang Yafi. Do you like it? Very good. Zhang Yafi nodded. That's it, pay now. Zhao Feiyu seemed afraid that Zhang Yafi would refuse. I quickly called the salesperson to pay. Successful consumption, 10 times cashback of 1 million. Hear the system prompt. Zhao Feiyu's heart finally settled down. What is your purpose? Why do you give me such a precious gift? After leaving the door, Zhang Yafi still asked in disbelief. At this time, Zhao Feiyu saw that Zhang Yafi's favorability towards him had risen from 70 to 75. By the way, Sister Yafi, don't you believe that I am a rich second generation? I see that you don't have a car to go to work, so why don't I take you to buy a car? Are you really going to chase me? Zhang Yafi looked at Zhao Feiyu in shock. Hiss. Zhao Feiyu looked embarrassed. You said you wanted to chase her, but I didn't mean to do that at the beginning. If you said you didn't want to chase her, the atmosphere has been set, and I have no choice but to chase her. I'm warning you, don't have any bad thoughts. You know the situation in our family. I don't want to hurt you. Zhang Yafi reminded immediately. Zhao Feiyu naturally knew about Zhang Yafi's family situation. In fact, although Zhang Yafi seems to be doing well on the surface, she actually has a brother who is addicted to gambling and a bedridden mother. I heard that it was kidney failure. Due to his special blood type, the cost of a kidney transplant would be at least 2 million, and kidney resources are very limited. But Zhang Yafi's words seemed to open Zhao Feiyu's ren and do meridians. Sister Yafi, how much does it cost to treat my aunt's illness? Zhao Feiyu grabbed Zhang Yafi's shoulders and asked. What do you want to do? Zhang Yafi said this, but in fact she had already guessed what Zhao Feiyu was thinking. Of course I want to cure my aunt. Hearing this, Zhang Yafi smiled and broke free from Zhao Feiyu. My mother now needs thousands of dollars for dialysis every day, and kidney resources are even more scarce. If she wants a kidney transplant, it will cost at least 3 million. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu's eyes suddenly lit up. Treat it. It must be treated now, treat it now. Zhao Feiyu. Zhang Yafi's tone became serious. Are you serious? Zhao Feiyu nodded heavily. Seriously. Zhang Yafi's favorability plus 10. At this moment, Zhang Yafi actually chose to believe Zhao Feiyu. The next moment, Zhao Feiyu pulled Zhang Yafi into the car. Master, let's go to the Porsche 4S store. After getting off the bus, Zhang Yafi was still speculating on what Zhao Feiyu had just said. But it has been pulled closer to the 4S store. Seeing the handsome man and beautiful woman come in, the sales lady came over immediately. Sir, which car do you like? Let me introduce it to you. Zhao Feiyu turned and looked at Zhang Yafi. Zhang Yafi was still in a trance. Sister Yafi, buy a car first, then go to the hospital. After saying that, he said to the sales lady, look at her, which one is suitable for her? The sales lady looked at Zhang Yafi and immediately took Zhao Feiyu to a sports car. Sir, look, this Porsche 718 is very suitable for this lady's temperament. How much? What Zhao Feiyu cares about now is only the price. 98W. Okay. That's it. Zhao Feiyu made the decision immediately. Hey, what are you doing? At this moment, a sharp female voice sounded and stopped Zhao Feiyu. We saw this car first. I looked back, before Zhao Feiyu could speak. The sales lady immediately walked over and said, hello, you have been looking at this car for several days, and you have even eaten several meals here. Now we only have this one car in stock. If you don't buy it, we can only sell it to someone else. Hey! What are you talking about? What do you mean by eating several of your meals? Do you think we come here just to eat and drink for free? Then I looked over and saw that the woman was wearing a tight skirt, a pair of high heels, and a Hermes shoulder bag on her shoulder. Xiaogang, tell me, are you going to buy it for me or not? As she said this, she walked up to a man, took his hand and spoke coquettishly. This car costs over 900,000 yuan. Isn't it a bit expensive? I think the one we saw yesterday that cost over 500,000 yuan was pretty good. The man said with some embarrassment. What's the difference between more than 500,000 and 900,000? I don't care, I want this car. The woman said in a tantrum. Brother-in-law. At this moment, the man saw Zhao Feiyu and said in surprise. Zhao Feiyu looked over. It turned out that this person was Li Shanshan's younger brother, Li Xiaogang. When he saw Li Xiaogang, Zhao Feiyu's face instantly turned gloomy. When we were at the hotel yesterday, this guy was still shouting that it was good to be away. What are you doing here? Li Xiaogang's face instantly turned into disgust. Zhao Feiyu said jokingly, your sister is so nice to you that she even let you come here to buy a car. TSK. If you don't give my sister money, don't blame other men for not giving my sister money. To tell you the truth, Jing Real gave my sister 500,000 yuan today so that I could buy a car. If it were you, you wouldn't be able to earn that much money in your life. Li Xiaogang said proudly. When Jing Real was mentioned, Zhang Yafi behind him immediately came to her senses. Seeing this, Zhao Feiyu rolled his eyes and asked with a smile, how much money does Jing Real make a month? How can I not know? He will give you 500,000. You are bragging. I think you earned the 500,000 from your sister finding a man for you. Boy, you have to cherish your sister's love for you. Every man she finds is a fragment of your Porsche. Bullshit, you know nothing, you are just a small employee, what do you know? Jing Real can easily make hundreds of thousands from the company. I heard all this from my sister. Jing Real can easily make millions from the company in a year. Li Xiaogang immediately retorted. Oh, so your brother-in-law is really powerful now, isn't he? After saying that, he looked at Zhang Yafi behind him. See? This is how Jing Real makes money. Zhang Yafi's face was gloomy. She nodded without saying anything. Li Xiaogang seemed to realize that he had said something wrong and quickly changed the subject. I say, what are you doing here, poor bastard? Can you afford a tire here? But Zhao Feiyu ignored Li Xiaogang and said directly to the sales lady, go get the contract. Hearing this, the sales lady immediately trotted away. Pretend. Keep pretending. I want to see how long you can keep pretending. Li Xiaogang knew exactly what was going on with Zhao Feiyu. If you can afford this 718, I'll stand on my head and eat shit. But soon, the salesperson brought the contract, and Zhao Feiyu signed and paid without even looking at it. By the way, this car is registered in the name of this lady. You can just go and hand over the driving license and other things to her. Yes, sir. I saw that Zhao Feiyu actually took over this Porsche. Li Xiaogang was completely stunned. Zhao Feiyu just got divorced yesterday, but he actually bought a Porsche, and it was for a woman. There is definitely something wrong here. I'm telling you, Li Xiaogang, I want this car too. If you don't buy it, I won't get married. The girl next to him pulled Li Xiaogang and shouted. Fuck you, if you don't want to get married, then don't get married. At this moment, Li Xiaogang just wanted to tell his sister all this as soon as possible. If Zhao Feiyu really has such huge financial capabilities, Then they must sue Zhao Feiyu. Because this is premarital property. When they divorced, Zhao Feiyu didn't say any of this. As long as you sue, you will win. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu listened to the system prompt and smiled with satisfaction. Successful consumption, 10 times cashback 9.8 million. Zhang Yafi's favorability plus 10. Instantly, Zhang Yafi's favorability level rose to 95. It seems that all she needs to do is cure her mother's illness. The favorability can directly reach 100. Chapter 6 Li Family Speculations. Chapter 6 Li Family Speculations. You know, if their favorability reaches 100, then the money spent will increase it 100-fold. With this multiple, you can easily become a billionaire. The other side. Li Xiaogang returned home in a hurry. When I pushed the door open, I saw Jing Jiakai was also here. Sister, do you know who I saw when I went to buy a car today? Li Xiaogang sat down, drank a sip of water and said. Who is it? Li Shanshan asked with a smile while peeling an apple. Zhao Feiyu, that bastard. When Zhao Feiyu was mentioned, Li Shanshan's face immediately turned gloomy. Why bring him up? What a bummer. Having said that, he threw the apple directly on the table and looked at Jing Jiakai apologetically, fearing that Jing Jiakai would be angry. He. Jing Jiakai didn't care. I saw him go to the company today, and before I could even say anything, he just packed up and left. Really? Li Shanshan's eyes suddenly lit up. If that's the case, then this kid will be starving in the future. Sister, I think something is not right. Li Xiaogang said with a serious face. Do you know where I saw Zhao Feiyu today? Where? Porsche 4S store. He. Li Shanshan covered her mouth and laughed. Is he going to interview for a sales job? No. Li Xiaogang explained repeatedly. I saw him buying a car with a woman. Buy a car? Li Shanshan raised her eyebrows and immediately laughed. Can he afford a car? A Porsche? I think even Bao Jun would have a hard time. It's true. Li Xiaogang kept emphasizing. I saw him pay the money myself. A full 980,000 yuan, using his broken phone. Real? Li Shanshan asked suspiciously. Really? He bought a car not for himself, but for another woman. It cost 980,000 yuan, and he didn't even blink an eye. Li Shanshan looked at Jing Jiakai in confusion. It seems to be asking, didn't he resign? What does that woman look like? Do you know her? Li Shanshan asked quickly. Li Shanshan would feel unhappy if Zhao Feiyu could find a woman immediately after the divorce. I don't know him. Li Xiaogang shook his head. I don't know her, but she's very beautiful and sexy, wearing torn socks and high heels, with her hair draped over her head. Bang! Li Shanshan slapped Li Xiaogang on the head. Are you as pretty as me? Well. Li Xiaogang felt a strong smell of death. Then he said, unconscionably, not as pretty as you. Jing Jiakai on the side frowned. He is talking about our boss, right? Having said that, Jing Jiakai quickly searched through his mobile phone and found a company photo. Then he pointed at Zhang Yafi above and asked, look, is it her? Yes. It's her? Li Xiaogang nodded repeatedly. Jing Jiakai laughed out loud. This woman, she is our boss. The 1 million yuan you mentioned for buying a car must be that guy Zhao Feiyu who is helping Zhang Yafi buy a car. Hearing this, Li Xiaogang suddenly realized, yes. This is possible. Jing Jiakai continued, let me ask you, how many men can buy $1 million luxury car for a woman without blinking an eye? Yes. Li Shanshan breathed a sigh of relief. I knew it. How could this loser afford $1 million car? But then, Li Shanshan asked, Jiakai, your boss and Zhao Feiyu. Oh. It doesn't matter. It's just that Zhao Feiyu's performance is usually better, so the boss pays more attention to him. Jing Jiakai said indifferently. He just packed up and left today. If I were to fire him, it would take some effort. Besides, our boss is the boss, but there are several chairmen above us in our company, and she is just a manager. In addition, her family conditions are not very good, and all the money she earns is used for her family's medical treatment. Then how can she afford $1 million car? Li Shanshan asked doubtfully. This. Jing Jiakai thought for a moment, and then suddenly realized. I understand. She must have been corrupt. I am a manager and I can make millions every year. She must be a boss and she is not bad either. Yet she pretends to be noble all day long. Thinking of this, Jing Jiakai rolled his eyes, brewing something with some ill intentions. Maybe at this quarterly report meeting, I can get her off the stage, and then I can take over. Really? Li Shanshan suddenly became excited. If Jiakai becomes the boss, then I can also rise to the top in our company. The cosmetics company where Li Shanshan works was invested by a shareholder of Jing Jiakai's company. At that time, with just a word from Jing Jiakai, Li Shanshan would be able to join the management team. At this moment, Xu Ping, who was cooking, suddenly came out and said, "My dear son-in-law, do you think that loser Zhao Feiyu is pestering your boss because he wants your boss to keep him?" Once this was said, everyone felt that it was very likely. "Brother-in-law, you must not let that guy stay in your company any longer." Li Xiaogan quickly sat next to Jing Jiakai and said, "You have no idea how arrogant that guy was when he bought the car today, as if the 980,000 yuan was really his own." Jing Jiakai laughed triumphantly, and said with a look of certainty of victory, "If nothing unexpected happens, that bitch Zhang Yafi should have transferred the money to Zhao Feiyu's account, and used this method to embezzle the company's money. The quarterly report meeting is coming up soon. This time I will definitely bring that bitch down with me. Then the boss's position will definitely be mine." Moreover, the amount of money Zhang Yafi embezzled was so huge that it violated the law. If Zhao Feiyu was also involved in this matter, he would definitely go to jail as well. Hearing that Zhao Feiyu could be arrested and sent to jail, Li Shanshan immediately became excited. "If we can catch this guy, then we won't have to see his useless face anymore." Jing Jiakai quickly took out his phone and dialed, "Li Yunlei, can you help me check whether Zhao Feiyu has resigned?" After Jing Jiakai and Li Shanshan had an affair, Jing Jiakai has been using Zhao Feiyu's classmate Li Yunlei to restrain Zhao Feiyu. This greatly hindered Zhao Feiyu's work. Otherwise, with Zhao Feiyu's ability, he would have been on par with him long ago. After a while, Li Yunlei called and said, "Manager, Zhao Feiyu has indeed resigned, and the HR department has terminated his contract." Hearing this, everyone felt relieved. Jing Jiakai quickly packed up and prepared to leave. Mother-in-law Xu Ping came out quickly and said, "My dear son-in-law, the meal is almost ready. It's not too late to eat before leaving." Jing Jiakai had already walked to the door and changed his shoes. "You guys eat, I'm going to go to the company first. That bitch Zhang Yafi just bought a car, she will definitely show her hand. The quarterly report meeting will start soon, I must take the opportunity to drag her down." When they heard about this matter, the family stopped trying to stop him and urged Jing Jiakai to leave. Chapter 7 The Doctors Discussed. Chapter 7 The Doctors Discussed. A white Porsche 718 is running on the wide road. Zhang Yafi wore sunglasses, held the steering wheel, and had a slight smile on her lips. Zhao Feiyu, who was standing by, couldn't help but stare in a trance. As if noticing Zhao Feiyu's gaze, Zhang Yafi turned around. When their eyes met, the atmosphere instantly heated up. "Why are you looking at me? There's something on my face." Zhang Yafi turned around embarrassedly and said coyly, "Before you were so high up in my eyes that I couldn't bear to look at you directly. Now that I've resigned, I look at you with equal eyes. I didn't expect to find you so beautiful and charming." Zhang Yafi was delighted by Zhao Feiyu's few words. Her favorability level reached 95 and she had already fallen in love with Zhao Feiyu. Where to go next? Zhang Yafi quickly regained her composure because she felt that if she continued like this, she would definitely fall into Zhao Feiyu's arms. To the hospital, of course. Zhao Feiyu was very excited when he thought about the tenfold cashback of 3 million. "Are you serious?" Zhang Yafi parked the car on the side of the road and asked seriously. "This is 3 million. I tell you, I can't pay you back in a short time. If you can't pay me back, then I'll give you my body," Zhao Feiyu said with a wicked smile. However, Zhang Yafi did not look away, staring at Zhao Feiyu intently. The next moment, Zhang Yafi's somewhat warm lips were directly imprinted on Zhao Feiyu's lips. "Then pledge yourself to me." Zhang Yafi's voice sounded a little confused. Zhao Feiyu was a little confused by the sudden attack of lightning. At this moment, a shrill horn sound broke the atmosphere. The two separated immediately. Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but curse inwardly, "What a bummer." However, Zhang Yafi's next words gave Zhao Feiyu hope, "Come to my house tonight. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu nodded repeatedly like a chick pecking at rice. Then they quickly arrived at the hospital. Even though Zhang Yafi is a boss and earns millions a year, she can only live in an ordinary ward due to the high daily medical expenses. Zhao Feiyu placed the flower basket and fruits on the table beside the bed. After chatting with Zhang Yafi's mother for a while, I came to the doctor's office. But before I could push the door open, I heard a quarrel coming from inside. Why did you stop my mother's medicine? Do you know that this could be fatal? Zhang Yafi roared in the office. You already owe more than 300,000 yuan in medical bills. If you don't pay up, you won't even be eligible for hospitalization, let alone medication. A disdainful middle-aged male voice sounded. Zhao Feiyu frowned slightly and stood at the door without rushing in. Zhang Yafi said, holding back her anger, I told you to pay the money in a few days. If anything happens to my mother, I will not forgive you. Har har. The man sneered. Can't you forgive me? I warn you, given your mother's condition, if she doesn't undergo a transplant, she might not even live to see the next month. What? Zhang Yafi's heart suddenly trembled. At this moment, the man pushed further and said sinisterly, I have given you a chance before, it depends on whether you cherish it or not. Now the transplant candidate has been found. With just one word from me, I can arrange the operation for your mother tomorrow, but it depends on how you perform. Hear this. Zhao Feiyu couldn't bear it any longer and kicked the door open. Bang! The office door was kicked open, hit the wall, and bounced back again. Zhao Feiyu rushed in. I saw a bold old doctor with a wicked smile on his face pushing Zhang Yafi into a corner. See this scene. Zhao Feiyu rushed forward and punched the old man hard in the face. Fuck you. Why don't you take a piss and see what kind of shit you are? After the old man fell to the ground, he let out a scream and shouted at the door at the top of his lungs. Security, security, someone come quickly. After a while, the other medical staff all rushed over and pulled Zhao Feiyu away. What's going on? A middle-aged man with a square face and glasses walked over. Judging from the name tag on his chest, he should be a chief physician. What's going on? The director asked with dignity. Director, this guy came up and punched me. Look, one of my teeth was knocked out. The bold old man was the first to complain, pointing at Zhao Feiyu and shouting. Why did I hit you? Don't you have any idea? Zhao Feiyu waved his fist and prepared to attack again. But he was caught by the security guards who arrived. Call the police. Call the police. Arrest him. He actually dared to commit a crime in public. I tell you, this matter will not be resolved without 100,000 or 80,000 today. The bold old man was so scared that he stepped back repeatedly and shouted arrogantly from a distance. What's going on? Why are you hitting our doctor? The chief doctor came up to Zhao Feiyu and asked sternly. Ask her. Zhao Feiyu looked at Zhang Yafi. Seeing this scene, the bold old man's face suddenly changed. If he tells everyone what happened just now, he will lose his stable job. Seeing this, the bold old man hurriedly said, Director, their family owes more than 300,000 yuan in medical expenses. I asked them to pay, but they refused and beat me up. Do you think there is still law? Their hospital is a place to treat illnesses and save lives, not a charity. Is this true? The chief doctor asked coldly. Yes. That's right, we owe money, but I said I would pay it in the next few days. At this moment, Zhang Yafi stood up and said. But your people threatened me with this, saying that I should stay with him, and that my mother's life would be in danger if she didn't get a kidney. You are talking nonsense. The bold man's face changed and he quickly explained. Director, don't listen to her nonsense. You know her mother's condition. A kidney transplant would cost at least 3 million. Do you think I can afford it? She is just making up lies to blackmail us. She wants us to waive her 300,000 medical expenses. You're talking nonsense. Zhang Yafi quickly retorted. Then do you have any evidence? Zhang Yafi was suddenly speechless after hearing the bold man's words. Seeing that Zhang Yafi was speechless, the bold man quickly said to the people around him, Everyone, please judge for yourself. 3 million, what virtue do you think I, Zhao Quanzhong, have to use 3 million to force a woman? With this 3 million, there is nothing I, Zhao Quanzhong, can't do. As soon as these words came out, the patients and medical staff who were watching all nodded repeatedly. Yeah. 3 million is enough to have sex with 100 women. This is a complete slander against Director Zhao. This woman's mind is really scary. She owes 300,000 yuan, and she actually wants to use this to threaten me. How shameless. You said you couldn't pay the money, so why not mobilize the public for help? Why do you have to be so despicable and humiliate yourself? You said your mother is still staying in the ward across the street. It would be so embarrassing if she knew. Chapter 8 System Upgrade. Chapter 8 System Upgrade. After hearing the discussions around, Zhang Yafi bit her lips tightly in grievance, trying not to cry. Shut up. Zhao Feiyu roared, fuck you, you bald old man, you are so bad, look at what this is. Speaking of, Zhao Feiyu took out his broken screen cell phone and turned on the recording. The next moment, Zhao Chuanzhang's voice came from inside. I'm warning you, given your mother's condition, if she doesn't undergo a transplant, she may not even live to see the next month. I have given you this opportunity. It depends on whether you cherish it or not. Now the transplant candidate has been found. With just one word from me, I can arrange the operation for your mother tomorrow. But it all depends on how you perform. Just now, Zhao Feiyu noticed something was wrong. He immediately took out his cell phone and recorded the conversation. After hearing my own voice, Zhao Quanzhong was so frightened that his face turned pale and he sat down on the ground with a thud. It's fake, it's totally fake, it's an electronically synthesized voice, it's not me at all. But no matter how he defends himself, no one around him believed him. The recording is finished. Zhao Feiyu put away his phone. Then he said to the chief doctor, if there is no reasonable explanation and apology for this matter, I will hand the recording over to the police and publish it online to make your hospital lose face. Hearing Zhao Feiyu's threat, the chief doctor's face suddenly changed, and he quickly explained, Sir, we will definitely give you a perfect answer to this matter. Good. Zhao Feiyu shouted. We are not the kind of people who will not let go of others even if they are right. This is one matter, and how to deal with it is your business. Now my girlfriend's mother's condition is the most important. We have prepared the money, please arrange the surgery as soon as possible. No problem, no problem. The chief doctor nodded repeatedly. Then, under everyone's gaze, Zhao Feiyu walked to the convenient payment window and directly charged 5 million yuan into Zhang Yafi's mother's hospital number. Seeing this scene and the real payment receipt, everyone gasped. Paying 5 million at once is probably something that has never happened in the hospital's history. Immediately afterwards, Zhao Feiyu and Zhang Yafi were invited into the office. This time, the chief physician personally interviewed Zhang Yafi's mother about her condition. Please rest assured, we will invite the best experts to perform the operation on your mother. Don't worry about the surgery. Leave it to us. Zhao Feiyu sat on the chair and tapped his legs, saying, if you had this attitude from the beginning, would what happened just now have happened? Yes, yes, yes. The chief doctor nodded repeatedly and didn't dare to have any opinions. I'm telling you, arrange the surgery as soon as possible. If there are any unexpected problems with the kidney transplant, as long as money can solve them, tell me immediately and I'll give you another 5 million. Zhao Feiyu said domineeringly while slapping the table. I only want 3 conditions, as soon as possible, safe, and guaranteed. Don't worry. I will make sure everything is arranged for you. After resolving this matter, only then did Zhao Feiyu and Zhang Yafi leave the office. Feiyu, thank you. Zhang Yafi said with tears in her eyes. Zhao Feiyu smiled slightly, silly boy, this little money is nothing, as long as I can cure my aunt's illness, let alone 5 million, 10 million is no problem. Successful consumption, 10 times cashback of 50 million. Zhang Yafi's favorability plus 5. Zhang Yafi's current favorability is 100, and the host's cashback on Zhang Yafi will increase by 100 times. Since the host has completed the first goal of 100 favorability, the system function has been upgraded and a cashback function for appearance consumption has been added. The details are as follows. The host can see the appearance and favorability of any woman. For those with an appearance below 50 points, the cashback will be 10 times. For those with an appearance between 50 and 85 points, the cashback will be 15 times. For those with an appearance between 85 and 95 points, the cashback will be 20 times. For those with an appearance above 95 points, the cashback will be 50 times. After hearing the introduction of the system, Zhao Feiyu's eyes suddenly widened. The system upgrade has such powerful functions. The cashback multiple is so exaggerated. Then look. Zhang Yafi's information immediately appeared. Zhang Yafi, 30 years old. Favorability, 100. Appearance, 90. See this scene. Zhao Feiyu was stunned. Zhang Yafi is so beautiful, but she only scored 90 points. What kind of beauty is that which exceeds 95? What's more, what made Zhao Feiyu most distressed was these 5 million were actually spent before Zhang Yafi's favorability increased. If it is after the favorability reaches the maximum value, that's a 100-fold cashback. 500 million directly, that's just too cool. Let's go. Let's go back and see Auntie. After recovering from the shock of the system upgrade, Zhao Feiyu and Zhang Yafi returned to the ward. But who knows? The nurse actually informed them that Zhang Yafi's mother had been moved to the VIP ward. The superior wards are all single rooms and have one-on-one nurse care. It's true that money makes the world go round. Not even afternoon yet. The chief doctor came to the ward to visit in person. At the same time, he told Zhang Yafi a good news. Our experts will be able to perform surgery on Auntie tomorrow morning. If nothing goes wrong and Auntie recovers well, she will be able to be discharged from the hospital in half a month. Really? Zhang Yafi burst into tears of joy. Although she is a decisive, smart and capable woman outside, earn $1 million a year and enjoy unlimited glory. But what is the reality? My younger brother was addicted to gambling and lost all the family wealth. After being arrested and imprisoned, she worked hard and earned several $1 million before she was able to pay off the debt. Soon after, her mother fell seriously ill, which made her feel suffocated. If I hadn't met Zhao Feiyu, she might collapse because of the $300,000 medical bills she owes. Immediately following, doctors and nurses kept coming in. Instructions were given on matters prior to the operation, and then signature was given. After doing all this, tomorrow morning, I will be able to go directly to the operating room. In the afternoon, Zhao Feiyu and Zhang Yafi strolled in the hospital garden. Passers-by are in a hurry. No one could stop and admire the beautiful scenery. Maybe this beautiful scenery is not suitable here. After all, what they heard was not the praises people gave it. More importantly, people pray for it. Thank you so much, Feiyu. Sister Yafi, you've said this 100 times today. Zhao Feiyu smiled helplessly. He. Zhang Yafi smiled awkwardly. This smile is probably the most relaxed smile she has had recently. The two sat on a bench. Right at this moment, Zhang Yafi's head slowly leaned on Zhao Feiyu's shoulder. This moment, she felt unprecedented security and reliance. Will you marry me when my mother recovers? Chapter 9 Buying a House. Chapter 9 Buying a House. Har. Zhao Feiyu trembled when he heard this. Isn't he this a bit anxious? Why? Do you think I'm ugly? Zhang Yafi sat up straight and said angrily. No, it's just that I just got divorced, as you know, and my aunt needs to slowly recover from her illness. How about we wait until she fully recovers and then have a grand wedding? What do you say? Kindness. Zhang Yafi pondered, as if imagining the scene. That's right. By the way, where is your home? Zhao Feiyu quickly changed the subject. If you have your own system and rely on women to spend money but are bound by marriage, it will not be worth it. And, probably because of Li Shanshan, Zhao Feiyu now has a certain fear of marriage. My mother was hospitalized for a long time, so I rented a house near the hospital. What? You're renting a house now? Zhao Feiyu asked in surprise. No wonder Zhao Feiyu was surprised. Zhang Yafi earns $1 million a year, but if she didn't even own a house in Jiangbei, a small third-tier city, she would definitely be laughed at if she told others about it. Actually, there were a few sets a few years ago. My brother hadn't been arrested yet at that time. Later, he sold them all for gambling. Speaking of this, Zhang Yafi's face turned pale. If their house was still there, maybe I would have sold everything and my mother's illness would have been cured long ago. All this is destined. Zhao Feiyu was filled with emotion. If Zhang Yafi didn't have a brother who was addicted to gambling, he would not have been able to win her heart. Well, let's go buy a house while it's still early. Think of a hundredfold increase to the full value. Zhao Feiyu said impatiently. Buy a house. What kind of house? Zhang Yafi was slightly stunned and didn't understand. Of course I'm buying you a house. Zhao Feiyu said without hesitation. You are still renting a house now. Do you want Auntie to rent a house with you after she is discharged from the hospital? But what? Mine is not yours. Zhao Feiyu didn't say anything and dragged Zhang Yafi to the real estate agency. No. I can't have your house. Zhang Yafi insisted. I've already spent 5 million of your money. I can't spend any more of your money. Zhao Feiyu suddenly became anxious. How can I make money if you don't spend money? Sister Yafi, listen to me, this is not a big deal, okay? If you don't think about yourself, you have to think about your aunt. Besides, you said you would marry me, so can't I buy a house for my wife? You are so annoying, who is your wife? Zhang Yafi smiled shyly and gently hit Zhao Feiyu with her pink fist. Seeing this, Zhao Feiyu immediately pulled Zhang Yafi into the real estate center. This is the largest real estate agency in Jiangbei. The huge exhibition hall is filled with sand tables of various communities, villas, and mansions in Jiangbei. You can say that. As long as it is a house in Jiangbei, there is nothing you can't buy here. Hello sir, how can I help you? As soon as I walked in, the beautiful sales lady came over immediately. I want to buy a house. The price is about 50 million. It's suitable for the elderly to live in, and it shouldn't be too far from the city. Zhao Feiyu thought for a moment and then spoke. Hearing Zhao Feiyu's words, Zhang Yafi, who was standing next to him, suddenly felt warm in her heart. And at this moment, without waiting for the sales lady to start introducing, a mocking laugh suddenly sounded. A house worth 50 million? Not too far from the city. Har har. Zhao Feiyu frowned slightly. Then look. The next moment, Zhao Feiyu's face suddenly changed. I saw that Jing Jiakai and Li Shanshan were also here. Zhao Feiyu, when will you be able to afford a house worth 50 million? Li Shanshan came slowly, carrying a limited edition Dior bag and holding Jing Jiakai's strong arm in one hand. When he saw Li Shanshan, Zhao Feiyu didn't even want to pay attention to her. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that we are here to buy a house. Jiakai said that he would buy me a house in the city center as a wedding house. Li Shanshan held a laser pen, sometimes pointing at the house on the left, sometimes pointing at the house on the right. Should I buy Jinsheiyuan? Or Tianhecheng? Oh, it's so hard to choose. These are houses worth millions. I have difficulty making choices. It's not like before when I lived in a rental house and didn't have this kind of trouble. At this moment, Zhang Yafi walked over in high heels. Manager Zheng is really rich. He bought a car for his brother-in-law and a house for his mistress. You have been in the company for a few years, but you can't make so much money. Jing Jiakai coughed awkwardly and turned his head to look around. He didn't expect to meet the boss here. Who do you say is the mistress? Li Shanshan became furious when she heard this. But when she saw Zhang Yafi's appearance clearly, she suddenly felt a little ashamed of herself. At the same time, he also recognized Zhang Yafi's identity. You said our Kai couldn't earn that much money, but what about you? How could you earn so much money in these years? He bought $1 million luxury car and a $50 million mansion. If you say you can buy these things with your salary, you won't be able to afford them in 20 years. Li Shanshan thought of what Jing Jiakai said to her and immediately started to mock him. If you weren't corrupt, could you afford these things? Shut up. Jing Jiakai immediately scolded. Li Shanshan pouted in dissatisfaction. Why don't you let me say it? This is the truth. Har har, boss, sorry, she was talking nonsense. Jing Jiakai was so embarrassed that he apologized repeatedly. He has not yet confirmed that Zhang Yafi was guilty of corruption. So he is still his immediate superior. Such blunt words would definitely arouse Zhang Yafi's vigilance. It will not be easy to find evidence at that time. Hearing this, Zhang Yafi suddenly understood. So you thought that I bought the car and the house with my own money? You are wrong. To be honest, the car and the house were both bought for me by my boyfriend. As she spoke, Zhang Yafi openly took Zhao Feiyu's arm. Har har, Zhao Feiyu bought it for you. Li Shanshan burst into laughter immediately. I don't know how much Zhao Feiyu weighs. She even uses a credit card to treat people to a meal. Can she afford to buy you $1 million luxury car? Then, Li Shanshan pointed at Zhao Feiyu and started cursing. Zhao Feiyu, you're just a gigolo. You just divorced me and you went to your boss to support you, right? I never realized you had such a talent. I think you two have been having an affair for a long time. Divorcing me is just an excuse, right? Chapter 10, 100 times cash back. Chapter 10, 100 times cash back. Li Shanshan. Zhao Feiyu roared. You can insult me, but you can't insult her. You cheated on me first, which led to our divorce. Don't slander me with lies. Are you angry? What do you think of me slandering you today? You are just a gigolo, a gigolo. Li Shanshan started to curse like a tantrum. Zhao Feiyu couldn't stand it any longer, and said directly to the salesperson next to him, Is this your sales environment? Do you let in any mad dog? Who do you call a mad dog? Who do you call a mad dog? Li Shanshan became more and more excited as she cursed, and she was almost sticking to Zhao Feiyu. Excuse me, young lady, if you don't want to buy a house, could you please leave? The sales lady also understood some of the reasons and immediately stepped forward to speak to Li Shanshan. Who doesn't want to buy a house? Open your eyes and look, I'm going to buy one today, this one, I want it. Li Shanshan pointed to a house and said generously. Jierkai, pay. As he said this, he looked at Zhao Feiyu with a joking expression. As for them, if they don't buy a house, let them out, get them out immediately. Zheng Jierkai paid the money generously. The spearhead was immediately pointed at Zhao Feiyu and others. Sir, look. The salesperson said with an embarrassed look. If you don't want to buy a room, please leave here and don't disturb other customers, okay? In fact, she also doubted Zhao Feiyu's spending power. The export is a mansion worth 50 million. How is this possible? Looking at the entire Jiangbei city, there are only a handful of people who can easily buy a mansion worth 50 million yuan. Hearing what the salesperson said, Zhao Feiyu flew into a rage. Without waiting for Zhao Feiyu to attack, Zhang Yafi said angrily, Can't I just take a look before I buy? Are you all so ignorant? Har, did you see that? I knew they couldn't afford it. Why are you still pretending to be so high and mighty? Get out of here right now. This isn't the place for you, poor bastards. Li Shanshan smiled proudly. Zhang Yafi was about to explode, but Zhao Feiyu raised his hand to stop her. The next moment, Zhao Feiyu looked at the sales lady jokingly, and then hooked his finger at a girl who was standing upright and a little immature not far away. Hello sir, how can I help you? The girl seemed to be new. The whole person seemed very nervous because of the conversation. Are you a salesperson too? Zhao Feiyu asked. Yes sir, I just got here, the girl explained quickly. I heard that you get a big commission for every house you sell, right? I want to buy a house worth about 50 million yuan. You can introduce me to one next. As he spoke, Zhao Feiyu took out his cell phone. If you doubt my spending power, you can pay in advance now and get a refund for the excess and a supplement for the shortfall. After saying that, Zhao Feiyu looked at another sales lady beside him. As for you, get out of the way. Sir, that's not necessary. Even if you don't want to buy it, I can still introduce it to you. The young girl smiled slightly. The attitude is completely different from the previous salesperson. Then, Zhao Feiyu told the girl about his needs. The girl also gave Zhao Feiyu 3 choices. Zhao Feiyu took a look and discussed it with Zhang Yafi. Select Riverview Bay Villa directly. Sir, are you sure you want villa number 18 in Riverview Bay? This villa is priced at 45 million. If you pay in one lump sum, you can enjoy a 2% discount. Sure, that's it. Okay sir, I'll get you the contract right away. The young girl's body was shaking slightly with excitement. You know, if this order is successful, her commission will be at least 100,000 yuan. She just arrived at the company. After a while, the manager here also heard about this and rushed over immediately with the girl. Sir, I am the manager here. I want to talk to that girl, everyone else, get out of the way. Zhao Feiyu waved his hand and said. Don't worry, the girl's commission won't be reduced by a penny. Before the manager arrived, he already knew what had happened. At this moment, Li Shanshan, who had been paying attention to Zhao Feiyu, immediately came over. Manager, they are all liars, don't be fooled by them. However, seeing these two people coming to cause trouble again, Zhao Feiyu smiled coldly. Said to the manager, which set did they buy? It's a house in Tianhe City, priced at 3 million. The manager introduced it immediately. Have they signed the contract? If not, I want this house. We recently got a dog, and I want to buy one for our dog. I think the one they like is pretty good. How much are they offering? I can offer an extra 500,000 yuan over theirs. Hearing this, the manager was overjoyed. I quickly called a salesperson to ask. After a moment, the manager said to Zhao Feiyu excitedly, although they have paid the money, the contract has not been signed yet. If you want, sir, we can transfer it to your name. Okay, good. Let's sign the contract. Zhao Feiyu waved his hand and paid directly with his mobile phone. Successful consumption, 100 times cashback of 4.5 billion. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu shuddered and dropped the phone with a broken screen in his hand to the ground. Zhang Yafi already has a high favorability score. This 45 million will be directly rebated 100 times. The sound just now was like a dream, making Zhao Feiyu unable to distinguish between reality or a dream. As for the apartment that Li Shanshan and her family own, because the purchase was not made for Zhang Yafi, it does not meet the conditions for cashback. However, this is for 4.5 billion. It's just a drop in the bucket. And after seeing that Zhao Feiyu actually paid the money to buy a mansion worth tens of millions, Li Shanshan looked as pale as death, and felt more uncomfortable than if she had eaten a fly. However, she still didn't believe that this was Zhao Feiyu's money. He knew how much Zhao Feiyu weighed. This money must belong to that bitch. Li Shanshan was secretly certain in her heart. Zheng Jiakai on the side didn't dare to say much. After all, Zhang Yafi is here. Even though Zhao Feiyu humiliated him in this way, Zheng Jiakai could only endure it silently. However, Zheng Jiakai kept all of this in mind. Out of the intermediary center, Zheng Jiakai punched the wall angrily. This bitch, I didn't expect that she actually embezzled so much money from the company that she could even afford a mansion worth tens of millions. Hiss. It hurts. Immediately afterwards, Zheng Jiakai shook his hands and wailed. Zhao Feiyu, this bastard, actually paid an extra 500,000 yuan to buy our house just to humiliate me. I can't swallow this. Li Shanshan roared indignantly. Jiakai, you must quickly pull that bitch off the stage. I want Zhao Feiyu and that bitch to pay the price they deserve. I want them to kneel in front of me and let me forgive them. Don't worry, it will be soon. The quarterly report meeting will be held next month. All the chairmen will be there. I'll see how Zhang Yafi explains it then. Chapter 11 Jing Real Estate Group. Chapter 11 Jing Real Estate Group. The houses in Riverview Bay Villa are already made. After all the formalities were completed, Zhao Feiyu and Zhang Yafi went over to take a look under the personal guidance of the manager. The villa has 3 floors and an independent swimming pool. After opening the huge floor-to-ceiling windows, you can jump directly into the swimming pool. Standing on the 3rd floor of the villa, you can overlook the wide river surrounding Jiangbei City. The scenery is beautiful, it is simply an imperial enjoyment. Afterwards, Zhao Feiyu and Zhang Yafi came to their house in Tianhe City again. This house is priced at 3 million and covers an area of more than 200 square meters. Also just move in with your luggage. Moreover, it is very close to their hospital and the company. If Zhang Yafi doesn't want to go home during her commute to get off work, she can stay here. It has become much easier to take care of her mother these days. The next morning, Zhao Feiyu and Zhang Yafi were waiting quietly at the operating room door. Seeing Zhang Yafi's nervous look, Zhao Feiyu took her into his arms and patted her back gently to comfort her. Don't be nervous. The surgeon is a great expert invited from Shanghai. His skills are absolutely excellent and the operation will definitely go smoothly. Being embraced by Zhao Feiyu, Zhang Yafi's nervous heart finally relaxed a little. And at this moment, Zhao Feiyu suddenly noticed. A young man wearing a dark blue suit and with a meticulous demeanor was also sitting on a chair not far away, waiting quietly. Beside him, people kept coming to him with folders to report something. But the young man had a frown on his face, his mind was not on his work at all, and he looked towards the operating room from time to time. Seeing this scene, Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. In the face of disease, money and power are so vulnerable. Time passes by every second. Zhao Feiyu stood up and said, I'm going to smoke a cigarette and will be back soon. Zhang Yafi nodded, and Zhao Feiyu walked towards the smoking area. Just when Zhao Feiyu was puffing out smoke, suddenly someone interrupted. "Brother, can you give me a cigarette?" Looking back, Zhao Feiyu discovered that the person who spoke was the young man in the suit just now. Zhao Feiyu smiled slightly and immediately handed one to the other party. "Then help it light up." Hiss. Ha. The young man took a deep breath and then exhaled slowly. But Zhao Feiyu saw from the way he smoked, there was no expression of enjoyment at all. It feels like smoking to relieve one's sorrow. The thing called cigarettes. It is the only thing that can accompany a man, give him support and liberate him. Seeing this scene, Zhao Feiyu knew that he must be worried about his family, so he comforted him. "Everything will be fine." However, the young man smiled and said self-deprecatingly, "I hope so." Ding-a-ling. At this moment, the young man's urgent phone call broke the silence. "My dad isn't dead yet. Are those old guys so impatient? How's the bank doing? Will they lend money? Okay. I got it." After hanging up the phone, Zhao Feiyu looked at the young man in shock. Zhao Feiyu learned from the conversation just now. This young man turned out to be the CEO of the well-known Jing Real Estate group in Jiangbei City. The person lying in the operating room was the young man's father, the chairman of Jing Real Estate Group. With such a strong background, Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but look at this young man with admiration. Judging from his age, he is almost the same as me. The other party turned out to be the executive president of Jing Group. Look at yourself again. What a huge difference. But from the conversation just now, Zhao Feiyu seemed to hear it because of his father's illness. Other shareholders in the group seemed to want to take advantage of this opportunity to acquire their shares. This is to undermine their control over the group. This seems to be a long-planned conspiracy. Without the support and guidance of a father, this young man is facing an unprecedented crisis. The young man was seen stubbing out his cigarette and preparing to leave. But he suddenly turned around and smiled at Zhao Feiyu. "Thank you for the cigarette. It looks like you're facing a crisis. Maybe I can help you." Zhao Feiyu thought about it for a moment, and suddenly he had a plan in his mind. The cashback system can indeed allow Zhao Feiyu to have countless wealth. But in this society, in this world, it is not enough to just have wealth. Without rights, all these are empty talk. If we can help Jing Group, use them as a springboard to gain more power. Seems like a good choice. You? The young man laughed. But there was no hint of ridicule. Instead, "I feel like I am cared for by my friends. Thank you for your kindness. Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhang Baiyu, and I'm the executive president of Jing Real Estate Group. The crisis I'm facing cannot be solved with a few thousand or tens of thousands of dollars. A few $100 million. Zhao Feiyu took a deep breath and then put out the cigarette. "Maybe I can help you." Hearing this, Zhang Baiyu paused, looked up and down, and re-examined Zhao Feiyu. He felt that the young man in front of him was no ordinary person, as he could talk about hundreds of millions so casually. Maybe. A fantastic idea suddenly flashed through Zhang Baiyu's mind. Maybe the person in front of him can really help him. The thought flashed through my mind. Zhang Baiyu shook his head in self-mockery. What's wrong with me? I actually believed a stranger I only met once. Brother, I want an astronomical figure, 500 million. If I had 500 million, I could resolve the crisis of the group and make those old guys completely speechless. But Zhang Baiyu paused, his meaning was very clear. He had no intention of mocking Zhao Feiyu, he was just stating a fact. 500 million? It's not much. But what good will it do me? Zhao Feiyu tilted his head and thought for a moment. He. Zhang Baiyu shook his head. He didn't believe it at all. How can a random stranger take 500 million so lightly? He joked. If you can really help me, I will consider this 500 million as your investment in Jing Group. You will not be a dry shareholder, but you will have the right to dividends. But I guarantee that you will get at least 2 billion in dividends every year. Zhang Baiyu didn't have any expectations in his heart, he just wanted to vent his unhappiness. Zhao Feiyu also has some understanding of equity. Although there is no control, it can be linked to Jing Group in this way. It paves their way for other investments in the future. Okay. I'll do as you say. I trust you as a friend. I'll help you this time. I'll transfer the 500 million now. Real. Zhang Baiyu trembled, unable to believe what Zhao Feiyu said, and asked in disbelief. Chapter 12, Going to a banquet alone in chicken feather costumes. All my classmates are dressed in chicken feather costumes. Chapter 12, Going to a banquet alone in chicken feather costumes. All my classmates are dressed in chicken feather costumes. Zhao Feiyu didn't say much, took out his mobile phone and started entering the transfer information. After a while, Zhang Baiyu received a confirmation message from the company. Under normal circumstances, these 500 million yuan would not be much for Jiaxing Group, but at this moment it is the life-saving straw for the entire Zhang family. Zhang Baiyu was so excited that he couldn't speak. He walked up to Zhao Feiyu and hugged him directly. Brother, I won't say much to thank you. From now on, you are my brother, Zhang Baiyu, and my brother of Jiaxing Group. Zhang Baiyu didn't expect that he could easily resolve his crisis by just smoking a cigarette. Zhang Baiyu didn't say anything unnecessary polite. After saying thank you, he turned and left. Looking at Zhang Baiyu's back, Zhao Feiyu shook his head and sighed, what a pity. Why aren't you a woman? If Zhang Baiyu was a girl, even if his appearance score is less than 50 points, there is also a chance of 10 times cash back. A $5 billion opportunity was wasted on a grown man. However, Zhao Feiyu firmly believed it. Zhao Feiyu can earn more than 5 billion from Zhang Baiyu. Back to the operating room door. Zhang Yafi asked in confusion, why did it take so long? Nothing, I just met an acquaintance. The voice trailed off. The operating room door was opened. Zhang Huanin's family. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu and Zhang Yafi ran over immediately. Zhang Yafi's mother's operation went very smoothly. This made the two of them breathe a sigh of relief. The next few days, Zhang Yafi has been taking care of her mother in the hospital. And Zhao Feiyu also received a call from Song Manli. I miss you a lot after not contacting you for a few days. Zhao Feiyu has a serious first love complex. I still have some feelings for Song Manli in my heart. 8 p.m., Chaoyang International Hotel, don't be late. Song Manli called to remind them. Do you want me to drive over to pick you up? Zhang Yafi doesn't need a car recently, so Zhao Feiyu can drive there. Okay. Did you buy a car? Song Manli readily agreed. 7:30 in the evening. Zhao Feiyu drove to Song Manli's house. When Song Manli saw Zhao Feiyu's sports car, she was stunned. Oh my god. Porsche, whose car are you driving? Zhao Feiyu smiled and got out of the car, then opened the door and let Song Manli sit in like a gentleman. Today, Zhao Feiyu is wearing a casual suit and has middle-parted bangs. The body proportions are magnified to the extreme. Their whole person exuded a charming aura, which made Song Manli a little dazed. Zhao Feiyu looked like this, something they had never seen before when they were dating. And all this originated from Zhang Yafi. I heard that Zhao Feiyu is going to a class reunion. After Zhang Yafi made arrangements for her mother, she personally took Zhao Feiyu to the fashion store. A complete set was arranged for Zhao Feiyu from top to bottom. Zhao Feiyu was dressed exquisitely. It's my friend's car. How can I afford such a car? Zhao Feiyu chuckled. But Song Manli on the side frowned slightly. When did you become so hypocritical? Song Manli thought that Zhao Feiyu borrowed the luxury car deliberately in order to show off in front of his classmates. And Song Manli hates such people the most. At the same time, Zhao Feiyu suddenly heard. Song Manli's favorability 5, current favorability 80. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu immediately understood what Song Manli was thinking. But now, the words have been said and there is no need to explain. Zhao Feiyu originally wanted to hide his identity, but who would have thought that Song Manli would misunderstand him? In the silence of the two, the car quickly drove to Chaoyang International Hotel. At the hotel entrance, the car stopped steadily. The doorman immediately opened the car door and welcomed Song Manli down in a gentlemanly manner. Zhao Feiyu threw the key away casually. The doorman immediately prepared to drive it to the parking lot. At this moment, a BMW car suddenly drove up from behind. The two looked back. But he found Jiao Qiang and 3 classmates getting out of the car. Oh my god! Zhao Feiyu, your sports car. Seeing this scene, Jiao Qiang felt a little sad. Today was supposed to be a party organized by him, and he wanted to show off his success in society over the years in front of his classmates. But Zhao Feiyu drove a Porsche sports car. Clearly stole my thunder. Zhao Feiyu, you didn't rent this car, did you? The other 3 students around Zhao Chong immediately mocked him. I saw the license plate wasn't even on it. Yeah, didn't you just get divorced? How could you possibly afford a Porsche? This seems to be a Porsche 718, which costs over $1 million. Hearing this, Zhao Chong finally breathed a sigh of relief. Yes, I heard that you lived in a rental house before. Li Yunlei said that you left the house with nothing after the divorce. You rented this car, right? We are classmates, why are you so hypocritical? Unlike me, I only drive a BMW because I opened a company. Zhao Feiyu glanced at Song Manli beside him, without any explanation, but just smiled and said, it's indeed not mine, I borrowed it from my friend. Har har. You really borrowed it? Zhao Chong suddenly laughed. Then he walked up to Zhao Feiyu and patted him on the shoulder. I'll give you a poem. Going to a banquet alone in chicken feathers, all my classmates are wearing chicken feathers. Har har. The other 3 students behind him burst into laughter. Mr. Class Monitor has great literary talent, he is still as talented as ever. When Song Manli saw this scene, she immediately walked into the hotel. Manli. Seeing this scene, Zhao Chong immediately chased after him. Over the years, Zhao Chong knew that Song Manli was also in Jiangbei. I don't know how long we've been in private contact. But Song Manli didn't give him any chance at all. Looking at Song Manli's graceful back, Zhao Chong's eyes narrowed. I must take you down today. In the hotel's huge private room, more than 20 students have arrived. See Zhao Chong and others walk in. Everyone stood up immediately. Some people even came directly to greet them. At this time, Zhao Feiyu walked in first. Those classmates pushed Zhao Feiyu aside and pulled Zhao Chong to ask about his well-being. Class monitor, long time no see. Sorry, I'm late. Zhao Chong smiled slightly and nodded slightly to everyone in the audience. It's okay, we just arrived not long ago. By the way, do you know who we invited over today? Who is it? Zhao Chong looked around and immediately saw a middle-aged man who was over 50 years old, a little bald, and wearing glasses. My class teacher, Mr. Chen. The man who was fawning on him immediately trotted over to the middle-aged man and shouted loudly. Everyone welcome, Teacher Chen. Par. There was immediate applause in the room. Zhao Chong hurried over and shook hands with Teacher Chen. Teacher Chen, I didn't expect you to come to our party. I asked several people to contact you, but none of them could get through to you. Teacher Chen curled his lips secretly and thought, you are just bragging. He even said hello when we met a while ago. It's obvious that he doesn't want to invite me. But even so, Teacher Chen still looked at Zhao Chong with satisfaction and smiled. I came to Jiangbei some time ago due to work arrangements. It's normal that the students don't know me. So that's how it is. Everyone, please sit down. Everyone, please sit down. Zhao Chong quickly asked everyone else to sit down. But after Zhao Feiyu looked around, he found that there was no place for him at all. Chapter 13 Teacher Chen. Chapter 13 Teacher Chen. Seeing the embarrassed Zhao Feiyu standing there at a loss, Zhao Chong deliberately remained silent and chatted enthusiastically with Teacher Chen. Right at this moment, Song Manli still couldn't bear it anymore, so she called the waiter to fill a chair. Let Zhao Feiyu sit next to Song Manli. See this scene. Zhao Chong said quickly, I'm so sorry, Zhao Feiyu. We had originally reserved a certain number of people, but Teacher Chen came, so there's no seat for you. How about this, you sit with Teacher Chen, and I'll sit with you. It's okay, no need. Zhao Feiyu sat down directly and said lightly. Seeing this scene, Zhao Chong felt a little regretful. Originally, he was planning to sit next to Song Manli. I didn't expect that I would end up losing the rice instead of the chicken. Then, everyone raised their glasses to celebrate. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 flavors of dishes, Teacher Chen said a little tipsy, weren't there more than 50 people in our class at that time? Why are there only so few people here today? This is already a lot, and many of them came from other places. Zhao Chong pointed to several other students from other places and explained. As for the others, either we can't contact them or they are all out of the province. I'm afraid there will be fewer and fewer people at our class reunions in the future. By the way, everyone, please introduce yourself. What do you do for a living? That way you can have someone to look after you in the future, right? Teacher Chen thought for a moment and immediately spoke to everyone. This is also the reason why Teacher Chen came here uninvited today. He heard that Jiao Cheng is doing very well now. So I asked around and came here. The purpose is to see which students will be able to use it in the future after their current development. Then, everyone started introducing themselves. There are a lot of people in front, all of them are ordinary office workers. Some also started their own businesses. But none of these interest Teacher Chen. After arriving at Gaoqiang, Teacher Chen immediately asked, I heard that Jiao Cheng has started a company now? He earns several million a year, right? Hey? Not that exaggerated. Jiao Cheng waved his hand and said modestly. But the glowing expression on his face couldn't be hidden at all. It's just a building materials company. It's not that exaggerated. It only makes about 3 or 4 million a year. It's just starting out. I need your support in the future. What? 3 or 4 million is not an exaggeration. Upon hearing this, Teacher Chen's eyes widened. You, kid, you have the best future right now. Teacher Chen said with a pleased look on his face. Back then, you were in the last row. I beat you up a lot. You climbed over the wall to skip classes and surfed the internet. I taught you a lesson a lot. But it was you who had the best future. On the contrary, those who are good at studying have no future when they grow up, just like that Zhao Feiyu. Teacher Chen smiled with his eyes narrowed. Didn't that guy study very well before? He was always in the top 3 in the class, but what happened after graduation? I heard a while ago that he got divorced and cheated on his wife, and was fired by the company. He even rents a place to live. He was kicked out of the house after the divorce, right? I can tell you something about this kind of people. Even though they were good students before, it doesn't mean they will be good in society. This kind of people has the brightest future. As someone who has been through this, and as your teacher, I will teach you another life philosophy today. In the future, you should have less contact with people like this, and it is best not to contact them at all. If he were to ask you to borrow money from him in such a mess, would you lend it to him or not? So, everyone must take this as a warning. As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately looked at Zhao Feiyu. But Zhao Feiyu lowered his head silently and ate his own food. By the way, that boy didn't come today, right? Teacher Chen looked around, and seemed to have drunk some wine, so he did not notice Zhao Feiyu. I think he's embarrassed to come. And at this moment, Zhao Feiyu suddenly raised his hand. Teacher Chen, I'm here, I'm not dead yet. Zhao Feiyu wiped his mouth expressionlessly, then threw the tissue directly on the table. Who wouldn't he be annoyed after hearing what Teacher Chen just said? Zhao Feiyu originally thought that his classmates would be very realistic. But I didn't expect that a teacher would be so realistic. In order to please others, he slandered his own students in this way. Hear this. Teacher Chen shuddered suddenly, then straightened his glasses and looked carefully. Only then did I see that Zhao Feiyu was actually sitting not far away. Thinking of what he had just said, Teacher Chen suddenly felt embarrassed and ashamed. But he soon recovered. Zhao Feiyu, what the teacher said just now was not directed at you. Zhao Feiyu sneered. Yes, they didn't mean to target me, but they are targeting me everywhere. Teacher Chen, I thought I had excellent grades and that the school would bring honor to you. When I grow up and enter society, you will be proud of me. But I didn't expect that you would be such a role model for others. You slander me and try to please Jiao Cheng. What good will that do you? Will Jiao Cheng give you money or something? Zhao Feiyu. Right at this moment, Jiao Cheng suddenly slammed the table and stood up. I'm giving you face, right? Talking to Teacher Chen like this. Isn't what Mr. Chen said a matter of fact? Didn't you just get divorced because of cheating, and you were fired and left with nothing? Oh yeah. Jiao Cheng suddenly chuckled and said to everyone. You may not know this just now, but when I went upstairs just now, guess what I saw? I saw Zhao Feiyu driving a Porsche. Hear this. Everyone's eyes suddenly widened. Even Teacher Chen's expression changed. If Zhao Feiyu was driving a Porsche, then what I said just now would definitely offend Zhao Feiyu. But then, Gao Qiang's words made Teacher Chen feel relieved. Do you know? In order to show off in front of his classmates today, Zhao Feiyu actually borrowed someone else's Porsche to attend the class reunion. Borrowing someone else's, har har. Gao Qiang taunted Zhao Feiyu mercilessly. We are all classmates, why are you pretending to be such a fool? I want to say that this car is mine. Do you believe it? Zhao Feiyu said lightly. Yours. Pfft. Gao Qiang covered his mouth and chuckled. Why are you still pretending? Don't you know what you are like? Can you afford a Porsche? That's enough. At this moment, Song Manli suddenly stood up. We are all classmates. Do you think it's fun to slander others and elevate yourselves like this? Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Gao Qiang also didn't want to leave a bad impression on Song Manli. I apologize to everyone, excuse me, I need to go to the bathroom. After Gao Qiang left, everyone stopped talking. Zhao Feiyu looked at Li Yunlei, who was not far away, and asked calmly, You told Gao Qiang about my affairs, right? What, Feiyu? Did you misunderstand? Li Yunlei smiled awkwardly and didn't dare to look directly at Zhao Feiyu. As for the company's affairs, don't think I don't know. You are the one who is obstructing me everywhere. I don't know what Jing Jiakai promised you, but did you know that Li Shanshan and Jing Jiakai were having an affair? Having said that, Zhao Feiyu slowly raised his head and looked at Li Yunlei with cold eyes. What? Feiyu, you really misunderstood me. I really don't know anything. And just when Zhao Feiyu was about to continue questioning, the door to the private room was opened. A group of people walked in, led by Gao Qiang. Chapter 14, Who Dares to Touch My Brother? Chapter 14, Who Dares to Touch My Brother? Then look. Zhao Feiyu's expression suddenly changed. Zhao Feiyu actually knew all the people behind Gao Qiang. Come on, let me introduce it to you. Gao Qiang said while pulling a man who had dark skin and was only about 1.6 meters tall. This is the famous chairman of Dongfar Construction Company in Jiangbei City, Li Dong. This is our chairman Li's wife, Li Maimai. And this guy is our classmate, the manager of Zhao Feiyu's former company, Rising Sun Design Company, Limited, Jing Jiakai. This is Jing Jiakai's current wife, and also the ex-wife of our classmate Zhao Feiyu, Ms. Li Shanshan. Today, their family is having dinner next door. Because Chairman Li and I have business dealings, I invited Chairman Li to come over for a few drinks. But his family heard that Zhao Feiyu was also here, and they insisted on coming over to see him, so I couldn't refuse their kindness. Gao Qiang said this and walked up to Zhao Feiyu with a smirk on his face. Feiyu, we are all acquaintances, please stand up and say hello. If looks could kill. Gao Qiang has already died 100 times. It was obvious that Gao Qiang called them in to insult him. And Zhao Feiyu also understood. Gao Qiang is in the building materials business. My former brother-in-law was a contractor. They seemed to have business dealings, that's why they knew each other. Right at this moment, Li Dong walked up to Zhao Feiyu with a joking look on his face. I never thought we would meet like this. Where is my former brother-in-law working these days? Chairman Li, look at what you said. Isn't this embarrassing for our Feiyu? Gao Qiang quickly agreed. Feiyu has no proper job since he was kicked out of the house. He came to the party today and borrowed someone else's Porsche to show off. I'm worried that he might scratch it when he leaves later. What will happen? Hey. You all misunderstood this. At this moment, Li Shanshan came over with a grim smile. You all misunderstood Zhao Feiyu. He didn't borrow the car. Hearing this, everyone raised their eyebrows. I thought of what Zhao Feiyu had just said. Could it be that this car really belongs to Zhao Feiyu? And at this moment, Li Shanshan laughed loudly and said, this car was bought for him by the bitch who supported him. Boss Gao just introduced me. I am Zhao Feiyu's ex-wife. We did divorce some time ago. I thought that after our divorce, he would work hard to make money. But who knows? He actually went to find a rich lady and was kept by a wealthy woman. This car was bought for him by her. Hear this. Zhao Feiyu slammed the table and stood up. Bang! He slapped Li Shanshan hard on the face. Curse me again if you dare. You cheated on Jing Jiakai, and you think you're so noble. You dare to hit me! You dare to hit me! Li Shanshan covered her cheek and became furious. He yelled at Jing Jiakai behind him. Jing Jiakai, he hit me, are you still going to do anything about it? In front of so many people, Jing Jiakai came up and punched Zhao Feiyu. You dare to hit my wife! Zhao Feiyu covered his cheek and slowly stood up. You all came here to laugh at my joke, didn't you? Zhao Feiyu slowly backed away with a grim smile, staring at everyone coldly. Right at this moment, Gao Cheng shouted, Zhao Feiyu, you are going too far. Manager Jing is my guest, how can you just do that? Li Dong on the side glanced at Gao Cheng calmly and said, Boss Gao, your classmate beat up my family. You must give me an explanation for this matter, otherwise I'm afraid that the business we are discussing now will be handed over to someone else. You also know that the project I'm contracting now belongs to Jing Real Estate Group. Not to mention the current supply of building materials, even the future ones may be handed over to you. Hearing this, Gao Cheng's face suddenly changed. Then he grabbed Zhao Feiyu and tried to pull him out. Zhao Feiyu, I asked you to come here to give you face, but you dared to ruin my good deeds. And at this moment, Zhao Feiyu suddenly heard their conversation and asked suspiciously, Jing Real Estate Group? Yes. That's right. Li Dong said proudly. Now my company has connected with Jing Real Estate Group. Jing Group is the largest real estate company in Jiangbei City. More than 80% of the residential areas are built by them. Even various commercial buildings and central streets are their industries. Even the official plan to relocate the high-tech zone last year was done by Jing Group. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. With Jing Group, the future is bright. This is Jiangbei's leading enterprise. I heard that they had a little accident some time ago, but they turned it around quickly and are now thriving. Congratulations, Chairman Li. I hope you will continue to support me in the future. Everyone heard this. They all came over immediately to toast Li Dong. Li Shanshan and others standing behind him were also flattering themselves and standing behind him proudly. And at this moment, Zhao Feiyu suddenly burst into laughter. Jing Group. What a Jing Group. I didn't expect you to be working for them. But the next moment, Zhao Feiyu shouted suddenly. Since you humiliated me like this today, don't blame me for being rude to you. Li Dong, I thought you were a broad-minded person, but I didn't expect you to be such a realistic person. You followed them and made things difficult for me. Since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. Jing Group, right? Today, I will make you completely lose the Jing Group. Having said that, Zhao Feiyu took out his phone and dialed. Seeing Zhao Feiyu's expression, everyone thought he was upset. For a moment, no one tried to persuade him. Only Song Manli stood up and pulled Zhao Feiyu to leave. Because Song Manli knew that everyone was targeting Zhao Feiyu now. If this continues, Zhao Feiyu will definitely be the one who gets hurt. When she saw Song Manli, Li Shanshan immediately thought of what happened at the Cloud restaurant last time. Seeing this, he immediately came out and said, You are his first love, right? Didn't you hear what I said just now? Zhao Feiyu, this gigolo, is now being kept by someone, do you know that? And you are still following him closely. What's it to you? Song Manli turned around and retorted domineeringly. At the same time, Zhao Feiyu also made a phone call. Zhang Baiyu? I heard that you have business dealings with Dongfar Construction Company. Topher Construction. I seem to have some impression of it. What's the matter? Now, do I have the right to cancel all business dealings with Dongfar Construction immediately? Of course, it's just a small matter, not worth mentioning. With just one word from you, not only Dongfar, but even other larger contractors can be cancelled at will. You know, there are so many contractors cooperating with us in Jiaxing. Okay. Then cancel it immediately. No problem. By the way, where are you now? What happened? Zhang Baiyu immediately understood the problem in Zhao Feiyu's words. Do you need me to come over? If it's convenient, you can come to Chaoyang International. Chaoyang International? I'm here now, which floor are you on? As he spoke, Zhao Feiyu told Zhang Baiyu about the private room. When the phone call was hung up, Li Dong burst into laughter. Zhao Feiyu, I have to admit that you are quite knowledgeable. But do you know who Zhang Baiyu is? Can you get him to come over with just one phone call? And can you get him to cancel our cooperation with just one phone call? Do you know that Zhang Baiyu is the executive president of Jiaxing Group? The son of the chairman of Jiaxing Group. Who do you think you are? The chairman of Jiaxing Group. Where did you find such an actor to cooperate with you in this scene? Hearing this, Jiao Qiang suddenly understood. Combining this with the previous Porsche, Jiao Qiang couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Zhao Feiyu, I have to admit that you really made sufficient preparations to show off at the class reunion. But what's the use of that? Lies will definitely be exposed. You also called Zhang Baiyu over. Why didn't you say you called Zhang Jiaxing over? That's enough. At this moment, Li Dong interrupted Jiao Qiang. As for the cooperation, it all depends on how you resolve this matter today. Zhao Feiyu was once a family member, so be careful, okay? Don't worry, Chairman Li. Jiao Qiang patted his chest and called a few people to drive Zhao Feiyu out. And at this moment, a stern shout came from the door. I wonder who dares to touch my brother. Chapter 15 Complete Ban. Chapter 15 Complete Ban. Then look. Zhang Baiyu walked in from the door with a group of people. Mr. Zhang. When Li Dong saw Zhang Baiyu, his jaw dropped. He had only seen Zhang Baiyu's beautiful face on TV and in photos. I have never seen the real person. The cooperation with Jiaxing Real Estate is also under the charge of the leader of their project department, who is in contact with me. Li Dong didn't expect that Zhao Feiyu actually called Zhang Baiyu over. Everyone is familiar with the great reputation of Jiaxing Real Estate. Even the houses where many of them live were built by Jiaxing Real Estate. Let him go. Zhang Baiyu ignored Li Dong and went straight to Zhao Feiyu. He looked at the two classmates who were holding Zhao Feiyu and growled. The two students looked at each other and couldn't help but look at Jiao Qiang, as if asking Jiao Qiang's opinion. But Zhang Baiyu's eyes turned cold and he stepped forward and slapped him twice. Par tilde. Two crisp slaps were heard, and both students were stunned. Zhao Feiyu shook his hands and glanced at Jiao Qiang coldly. What's going on? Zhang Baiyu asked hurriedly, and his eyes immediately softened when he looked at Zhao Feiyu. What happened some time ago, if it wasn't for Zhao Feiyu's help? I'm afraid that Jiaxing's real estate industry is now showing signs of crisis. Zhang Baiyu was extremely grateful to Zhao Feiyu for his brave action. Now that Zhao Feiyu is in trouble, Zhang Baiyu will definitely sacrifice himself to help him. He. Zhao Feiyu sneered, sat down, then looked around, his eyes full of disappointment. We're classmates, but you're trying to show off to me. As he spoke, Zhao Feiyu turned his gaze to Li Dong. Dongfar Construction Company, is it awesome? Then he looked up at Zhang Baiyu. I heard that he has business dealings with your company. I think we should just forget about this matter. No problem. Zhang Baiyu nodded and immediately spoke to the men around him. Go check what kind of business dealings does Dongfar Construction have with our group. After a while, the man came back with the phone. CEO, part of the project at Times Square in the southern suburbs is being undertaken by Dongfar Construction. Zhang Baiyu nodded, and then said without hesitation, cancel all business dealings between this damn Dongfar Construction and our Jiaxing. Okay. However, as soon as the words fell, Li Maimai at the side asked sharply, why? You said you won't cooperate, so you won't cooperate. Shut up. Li Dong grabbed Li Maimai and signaled her to shut up. Why are you pulling me? Li Maimai broke free from Li Dong and said unconvincedly. Just because of this rubbish called Zhao Feiyu, you want to cancel the cooperation with us? Do you know how much loss this will bring to your Jiaxing group? Is it worth it for rubbish like this? Zhang Baiyu's face suddenly turned gloomy, and he kept calling Zhao Feiyu a waste. Is this how he called him? How? Zhang Baiyu ignored Li Maimai and looked at Zhao Feiyu. Just one word from Zhao Feiyu. It wouldn't be a problem to just sink these people into the river. However, Zhao Feiyu said calmly, I believe you have already investigated my identity. These people are my former family. I no longer have any feelings for them. However, I don't mind letting Dongfar Construction disappear completely in Jiangbei. No problem. Zhang Baiyu nodded and gave instructions to the men around him. Give the order, anyone in Jiangbei City who dares to cooperate with Dongfar Construction is going against us Jiaxing, and our Jiaxing group will never forgive them. Yes. Who do you think you are? Li Maimai said disdainfully. Do you know how much my husband earns a year? Can you just ban him? Shut the fuck up. Li Dong was so frightened that his scalp went numb. He slapped Li Maimai in the face, interrupting her words. Oh, and there's this Jiangxin Building Materials Company. After saying that, Zhao Feiyu looked at Jiao Qiang. Jiao Qiang shivered all over and looked at Zhao Feiyu with a bitter face. Zhang Baiyu nodded and continued to instruct, "Did you hear what my brother said?" "Understood." To Jiaxing Group, people like Jiao Qiang are like ants. With just one sentence, they would have no place to stand in Jiangbei City. "Let's go." Zhao Feiyu stood up in extreme disappointment, then pulled Song Manli out. "It starts from this moment. These people will completely draw a line between themselves and Zhao Feiyu and will have no more contact with him." And when Zhao Feiyu and others left, Jiao Qiang quickly walked up to Li Dong and asked in a sad tone, "Chairman Li, what Zhao Feiyu said can't be true. My company was established not long ago. What should I do if this fails?" "TSK. What are you afraid of?" Li Maimai said disdainfully. "Do you really think that Jiaxing Group will cut off business ties with my husband because of a loser like Zhao Feiyu? This is a cooperation worth tens of millions. Can a word from Zhao Feiyu be worth tens of millions?" "That's right." Jiao Qiang nodded thoughtfully. Bang. At this moment, Li Dong raised his hand and slapped him again. "You know nothing. In the eyes of Jiaxing Group, we are just ants. If they say one word, we will go bankrupt. Do you understand?" Ding-a-ling. As soon as the words fell, Li Dong's phone rang. "Hello. Li Dong, you bastard, what did you do?" As soon as the call was connected, I heard a hoarse roar coming from the other end. "Why did Jiaxing Group cancel its cooperation with us?" Me? Li Dong also has several partners. He is qualified to contract this project of Jiaxing Group. It is only by joining forces with several other contractors that we have the confidence and strength. Otherwise, if he relied on himself alone, Jiaxing Group would simply ignore him. And at this time, because of this incident, the matter was completely ruined. Jiaxing Group, have you really cancelled the cooperation? Li Dong collapsed to the ground like a deflated ball. He invested an unknown amount of money and energy in this project. But now, because of this incident, all his efforts have gone to waste. Li Maimai. What the hell were you babbling about just now? Li Dong struggled to stand up and kicked Li Maimai away with all his strength. Then he wailed feebly, "It's over, it's all over." Ding-a-ling. Right at this moment, Jiao Qiang's phone also rang. The sudden phone call made Jiao Qiang's hands tremble and he almost dropped the phone to the ground. As soon as the call was connected, a burst of angry curses came from the phone. "Jiao Qiang, you bastard, what did you do? Why did all the suppliers call and refuse to buy from us? They said that it was the Jiaxing Group's order to completely ban us. Although Jiao Qiang is the general manager of the company he works for. But there are few investors on it. Just now, these investors suddenly received calls from suppliers. Cancel all cooperation with Jiaxing Company. Jiaxing Company is completely finished. Really, what Zhao Feiyu said is true." Jiao Qiang and Li Dong sat limply on the ground like a puddle of mud. The next moment, Li Dong rushed directly towards Jiao Qiang, raised his fist and hit him hard. "Jiao Qiang, why the hell did you call me in? I was having a good meal. Why did you drag me in with you if you want to die?" The two men wrestled with each other. Li Shanshan, Jing Jiakai and others on the side were completely shocked. "Zhao Feiyu, when did you become involved with Jiaxing Group? It's only been a few days since the divorce. Why does it feel like Zhao Feiyu is so strange to them?" And at this moment, Jing Jiakai suddenly laughed. "He's just a guy who is taking advantage of the power of others. He only called Zhang Baiyu here because of our boss's reputation. Otherwise, it's impossible to rely on him alone. Because from what I know, Zhang Baiyu seems to be interested in our boss, so they are in contact. So that is how it is." Li Shanshan, who was standing by, suddenly realized what was going on and felt much better. But this time, the ones who suffered the greatest losses were Li Dong and Jiao Qiang. Chapter 16 Investing in Times Square. Chapter 16 Investing in Times Square. Zhao Feiyu breathed a sigh of relief after leaving the hotel. "Brother, don't they know your identity?" Zhang Baiyu asked with a puzzled look on his face. Logically speaking, Zhao Feiyu could easily come up with 500 million to invest in himself. With such status and financial resources, shouldn't these people be trying to lick their boots? How could he look down on Zhao Feiyu and even want to fight with him? My family doesn't allow me to be outspoken, so they think I'm a soft persimmon and anyone can take advantage of me. Zhao Feiyu sneered and found an excuse to fool him. Hearing this, Zhang Baiyu shook his head and said, "TSK, TSK, TSK, these people really don't know what a great man should be. Especially your ex-wife, I don't know what to say." Ever since Zhao Feiyu easily took out 500 million to invest in Zhang Baiyu, Zhang Baiyu immediately asked someone to investigate Zhao Feiyu's identity, including the recent divorce. But the investigation information showed that Zhao Feiyu was an orphan. It seems that Zhao Feiyu deliberately concealed his family background. Thinking of this, Zhang Baiyu was sure Zhao Feiyu must be a descendant of some big family, and his background is unfathomable. By the way, I heard that you used to work at the Shuri design company. We in Jiaxing have business dealings with Shuri, and I also know your boss Zhang Yafi. Do you want me to pass the word to them? Outside the hotel, while everyone was waiting for the bus, Zhang Baiyu said to Zhao Feiyu, "Or, come directly to Jiaxing. I'll make you the general manager." Song Manli, who was standing by, heard this and looked at Zhao Feiyu with some surprise. She didn't expect that Zhao Feiyu had such connections. Zhao Feiyu chuckled and waved his hand, "Forget it. It's fine now. I can eat whatever I want and get up whenever I want." Just then, the doorman drove the car over, and Zhao Feiyu took the keys and prepared to take Song Manli away. That's right. Zhang Baiyu suddenly thought of something. Recently our group has a venture capital investment. Do you want to invest in it? It's in the South City Times Square. It's an official project and absolutely reliable. If you have working capital, you can invest 1 billion or more. After it's completed, the income will at least double. Oh? Really? Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu's eyes suddenly lit up. At this moment, Song Manli next to her was completely stunned. If the person who spoke was not Zhang Baiyu from Jiaxing Group, she would have thought that they were two lunatics talking nonsense. The first thing he asked for was 1 billion. When did Zhao Feiyu rise to this level? Is this still the Zhao Feiyu who just allowed his classmates to mock him? Since it's an official project, this investment is a sure win. Why did you suddenly think of me? After all, it was you who helped me out before, so this is my return to you. Besides, I don't have much money right now, and those old guys in the group are unwilling to pay and want to embarrass us. So this is my return, and it's also a small favor to me. Zhang Baiyu said somewhat embarrassedly. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu suddenly understood. After a little thought, he asked, "How much is left now?" Seeing this, Zhang Baiyu was immediately delighted. Looking at Zhao Feiyu's expression, he knew that he was going to take action. About this number. Zhang Baiyu stretched out 3 fingers. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu was stunned. 3 billion is indeed not a small amount. Let me think about it and I'll give you an answer tomorrow morning. Okay. Zhang Baiyu was overjoyed and nodded repeatedly. It seems that Zhao Feiyu wants to invest the entire 3 billion yuan. In this way, Zhang Baiyu doesn't need to ask other people for help. He begged for help from everyone and was almost kneeling down to those grandsons. If Zhao Feiyu could take action. This time, relying on this project, Zhang Baiyu will be able to compete with those old guys in the group. Immediately, Zhao Feiyu took Song Manli into the car and left Chaoyang Hotel. Inside the car, Song Manli's eyes were fixed on Zhao Feiyu. It's like looking at a stranger. Zhao Feiyu chuckled, "What's wrong? Is there something on my face? Are you still the Zhao Feiyu I know?" Song Manli tilted her head, looking confused. "I now seriously suspect that the Zhao Feiyu I knew before is dead, and the current Zhao Feiyu is possessed by the soul of another person. Why are there tens of billions of dollars worth of business nowadays? Is this true?" Zhao Feiyu smiled and said, "What do you think?" Song Manli shook her head. "I feel it's too dreamy. If you are so rich, why did Li Shanshan divorce you?" Zhao Feiyu sighed, "I wanted to get along with you as an ordinary person in exchange for a sincere relationship, but I didn't expect that these people would be so realistic. I won't pretend anymore. I'm going to show my cards. I'm a billionaire." Puff. Song Manli covered her mouth and chuckled. Zhao Feiyu glanced at it and couldn't help but feel a little obsessed. This moment. They seemed to be back in high school. High school years. Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli both have good grades. They can be said to be the golden boy and girl of the school. Even the teachers don't dare to intervene when they are in a public relationship. I was afraid that if they broke up, my grades would drop. Therefore, teachers encourage the relationship between two people. In such an environment, Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli met in the same university. But the reality is cruel. Song Manli's family has already paved the way for her future. She had to apply to other universities. This led to the breakup due to long-distance relationship. That's right. Zhao Feiyu suddenly came to his senses. Didn't you major in finance? Why are you working in a cosmetics company now? Last encounter. Zhao Feiyu felt something was not right and couldn't help but ask. Next second, Song Manli's face suddenly darkened. See this scene. Zhao Feiyu knew that many unknown things must have happened to Song Manli. Ding-a-ling. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu's phone suddenly rang. When Zhao Feiyu saw that it was Zhang Yafi calling, a trace of panic flashed in his eyes. Hello. Is the class reunion over? Zhang Yafi's concerned voice came from the phone. Just finished, preparing to send my classmates back. Female classmates. The car was extremely quiet. Even though it was in microphone mode, Song Manli next to him could still hear it. Do you still have a first love girlfriend? For some reason, Zhao Feiyu felt a little sour when he heard Zhang Yafi's words. He. Zhao Feiyu smiled awkwardly and said nothing. Come back early and don't drink and drive. Okay. Got it. Chapter 17 Song Manli's Past. Chapter 17 Song Manli's Past. After hanging up the phone, Zhao Feiyu saw that there was no expression on Song Manli's face. I don't know if it was because of the content of the phone call. It was still because of Zhao Feiyu's question just now. By the way, you haven't told me yet, you majored in finance, how come? Pull over. Song Manli sounded a little irritated, and spoke in a tone that did not brook refusal. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu stopped the car immediately. Song Manli opened the car door and walked out. Zhao Feiyu quickly chased after him. What's wrong? Are you angry? That was my boss just now. You don't have to explain anything to me. Song Manli gave a bitter smile. I'm just tired and want to be alone. You can go. This place is not far from my home. I can just walk back. But. No buts, go back. Zhao Feiyu pursed his lips and finally did not continue asking. Looking at Song Manli's lonely back. After Zhao Feiyu returned to the car, he immediately took out his phone. Can you help me investigate something? What is it? Zhang Baiyu's voice came from the phone. Please help me check Song Manli, who is from the finance department of Tianhai University in the 2017 class, and her family situation. Okay, no problem. After hanging up the phone, Zhao Feiyu leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. A lot of things happened tonight. All of them gave Zhao Feiyu a lot of experience. Having money alone is useless. In addition to having money, you also need power. Money does not bring power. Only with power can you make money. No matter how rich you are. For example, Shen Wansan still couldn't defeat Zhu Yuanzhang. Suddenly opened my eyes. Zhao Feiyu seemed to have a plan in his mind. Ding-a-ling. It took less than 10 minutes. Zhang Baiyu called. Everything has been investigated clearly. Song Manli dropped out of school in her junior year due to family changes. Her grandfather was the top leader of Yunduan City. Her father went out to sea to do business. Later, after her father returned to China, he focused his attention on Yunduan City. But that year, there was something wrong with the products of her father's company and some people died after eating them. Her grandfather also fell from power because of this incident and was investigated. It was later discovered that it was her father's rival company that framed her. Although the matter has been investigated clearly. But no one believed in her father's company anymore, and the business plummeted. And her grandfather was completely overthrown because he was suspected of giving her father the green light. Hearing this, the phone in Zhao Feiyu's hand fell to the ground with a click. He murmured to himself, how is this possible? How is this possible? Wasn't that the year we broke up during our junior year? Hello, hello. Zhao Feiyu suddenly woke up and quickly picked up his phone to ask, why is there no news about this matter outside? Because her grandfather was the top leader of Yinduan City, the impact was too bad, so it was suppressed by the authorities and the outside world didn't report it. After hearing this, Zhao Feiyu finally understood. Why did Song Manli have that expression when she was questioned by me just now? It turned out that she had experienced such a tragic thing during those years. Bang! Zhao Feiyu punched the steering wheel. Why? Why didn't she tell me at the beginning? If she had told me, I would have faced it with you. There was silence on the phone. Zhang Baiyu on the opposite side listened to Zhao Feiyu sobbing and said nothing. After a moment, Zhao Feiyu took a deep breath and raised his head. Baiyu, give me the account number. I'll invest the 3 billion. Good. Zhang Baiyu knew very well that Zhao Feiyu was worried. He showed no surprise. Just said calmly. Don't worry, the benefits of this matter will definitely exceed your imagination. That's right. This Song Manli is the girl next to you today, right? Yeah. Zhao Feiyu replied weakly. Then he hung up the phone. After the phone call was hung up, Zhang Baiyu on the other side immediately said to the people around him, go check where Song Manli works and ask someone to take special care of her. Yes. Zhao Feiyu at this time. My mind is full of stories that happened in the past. Regret, guilt, all the emotions came up at once. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu suddenly wanted to get drunk. Looking at the neon bars on the roadside, Zhao Feiyu walked in heartbroken. In the bar, the dazzling light and deafening DJ sound made Zhao Feiyu feel like he was in a dream. At this moment, the DJ on the stage suddenly shouted, congratulations to Mr. Gao and Mr. Lee in booth 18 for winning 3 sets of Supreme Dragon sets worth 188,888. The voice trailed off. All the lights in the nightclub were focused on booth 18. All the sexy little girls in the atmosphere group cheered immediately. Colorful papers are flying all over the sky. A dozen sexy waiters dressed in football cheerleading costumes walked slowly towards us from a distance, holding light signs. While showing off to everyone, he waved the light sign in his hand. This scene immediately attracted Zhao Feiyu. Then look. Zhao Feiyu's eyes widened immediately. Gao Qiang? Li Dong. Seeing these two people, Zhao Feiyu suddenly felt incredible. I just came out of the hotel. I didn't expect that they would come here too. However, sitting next to Gao Qiang and Li Dong was a middle-aged man with a haughty look, wearing glasses and slightly balding. Moreover, the two men's attitude towards this man seemed very humble and flattering. After thinking about it, Zhao Feiyu understood. Zhang Baiyu banned both of their companies. It seems that they should find someone to remedy the situation. After a little thought, Zhao Feiyu snapped his fingers. The waiter came over immediately. Sir, is there anything I can help you with? How much is that Shenlong suit? That's our Grand Dragon set meal. The most expensive black and gold version is 188,888. Okay. It's him. Give me 3 sets. What? The waiter's eyes widened immediately. Sir, are you right? Or did I hear wrong? 3 sets. I was right, and you heard me right, give me 3 sets too. Zhao Feiyu looked at Gao Qiang opposite him and said indifferently. Why? Are you worried that I can't afford it? Seeing that the waiter was still standing there, Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but frown. No. I don't have that. I'll prepare it for you right away. The waiter said this and prepared to leave. After all, he had never seen anyone escape alone here. Because the boss behind them is not an ordinary person. Wait a moment. Zhao Feiyu immediately called the waiter. I'm too bored alone, call me a drink. Okay. Zhao Feiyu is not stupid. It's not worth spending this money on yourself. You can only get cash back if you spend it on women. Chapter 18 Getting Drunk at the Bar. Chapter 18 Getting Drunk at the Bar. After a while, the lights in the bar suddenly changed. Then it hit Zhao Feiyu directly. Following the shouts of the host on the DJ stage, everyone cheered. Congratulations to Mr. Zhao in booth number 8 for winning 3 sets of Supreme Dragon sets worth 188,888. The next moment, The sexy girl in cheerleading uniform held up a light board and waved it wildly at everyone around her. This scene immediately attracted the attention of Gao Qiang and others on the opposite side. Zhao Feiyu. When they saw that it was Zhao Feiyu who ordered 3 sets of Shenlong suits, their eyes widened immediately. Thinking of what had just happened, Gao Qiang and Li Dong were immediately furious. Eyes met. The corners of Zhao Feiyu's mouth rose slightly, revealing a provocative smile. Manager Li, this is the guy. Li Dong immediately pointed at Zhao Feiyu and said to the middle-aged man next to him. He was the one who called Zhang Baiyu and said he wanted to ban us. Yes. It's him? Gao Qiang on the side echoed. But the middle-aged man smiled and said, it seems that he is just a guy who has met our president once. I have never seen him in Jiaxing Group. The reason why our president said this is just to give him face. However, the Times Square project is still my decision, right? Yes. Manager Li is right. Hearing this, Li Dong suddenly felt a glimmer of hope in his heart. Then I'll leave this matter to Manager Li. That's easy, but this guy is too arrogant. He actually ordered 3 sets of magic dragons. We can't let him suppress us. There is an unwritten rule in the bar called drinking contest. You can't just let go of the anger you just suffered. This. Gao Qiang suddenly looked embarrassed. Just now, in order to please Manager Li, he has ordered 3 dragon sets. 1 set costs 188,000 yuan, and 3 sets cost 500,000 or 600. What are you standing there for? Why don't you order again? Li Dong, who was observant of Gao Qiang's words and expressions, immediately understood what was going on and quickly scolded Gao Qiang. But this is already 5 or 600,000. Gao Qiang said with an embarrassed look on his face. If the Times Square project is taken down, these are just a drizzle. Besides, you are the one who caused this incident today. If you don't pay for it, who will? That's fine. Gao Qiang gritted his teeth and asked the waiter for 3 more sets of Supreme Dragon. Congratulations again to Mr. Gao and Mr. Li in booth 18 for winning 3 sets of the Supreme Edition Dragon set worth 188,888. The lighting atmosphere on Zhao Feiyu's side is not over yet. He was immediately pulled over by the other party. Woo! Inside the bar, the atmosphere was immediately ignited and reached its peak in an instant. Supreme Dragon. Supreme Dragon. Number 18 is mighty. Number 18 is mighty. Come on, number 8. Come on, number 8. The members of the bar's atmosphere group immediately started to make a noise. A drinking contest was formed in an instant. Looking at this exciting scene, Gao Qiang, who had been a little reluctant just now, immediately felt that it was worth the money. At the same time, he did not forget to proudly raise his middle finger to Zhao Feiyu. As if to say, if you have the guts, come on and do 3 more. However, what Gao Qiang and his friends didn't expect was Zhao Feiyu also spoke directly to the waiter beside him. Next moment. Congratulations to Mr. Zhao from booth number 8 for winning 3 sets of Supreme Dragon. 1 million was spent in one go. The pressure was instantly put on Gao Qiang and the others. Come again. The manager of the Jiaxing Group project department also shouted excitedly. Hearing this, Gao Qiang's face instantly turned ashen. His family assets were almost emptied. The other students who came in with them also started talking to each other. Oh my god! This Zhao Feiyu is so awesome. He directly sent 6 sets of Supreme Dragons, which must be worth more than 1 million. I never thought that Zhao Feiyu is so rich. I really don't understand why his wife wants to divorce him. Hey! Our squad leader has hit a wall. Is this still the same Zhao Feiyu who was laughed at and hanged as a poor fellow at the dinner table? Could it be that the Porsche he was driving was really his own? I think it's possible. Who can be an ordinary person if they have a relationship with Jiaxing Group? It seems that we all underestimated Zhao Feiyu. This kid has been pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger all the time. Low key, too low key. Come again. The project manager shouted loudly. Li Dong quickly signaled to Gao Qiang. But this time Gao Qiang shook his head in embarrassment. I have no money. In desperation, Li Dong had to pay out of his own pocket. There was some back and forth between us. In the end, the show ended with Zhao Feiyu performing 18 sets of Supreme Dragon sets. Because even Li Dong couldn't bear it anymore. plus 6 sets of Supreme Power. Li Dong also asked for 8 sets of Divine Dragon Supreme. The total amount is over 2.5 million. Now Li Dong seriously suspects that the project manager is a wine-selling agent. At this time, manager Li was also drunk under the invitation of the beautiful hostesses. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu has become the most handsome guy in the entire bar. Before he knew it, Zhao Feiyu felt dizzy and was ready to leave. When I came to the front desk to settle the bill, Zhao Feiyu actually saw Li Dong and the others staggering out. Seeing Zhao Feiyu here, Gao Qiang couldn't help but sneer. Zhao Feiyu, you want to ban us in Jiangbei City? It's impossible. Until now, who doesn't? Gao Qiang pointed at the bald manager Li, who was supported by 2 beauties. He, the manager of the Times Square project department of Jiaxing Group. With him, this project is still ours. Yeah. Zhao Feiyu sneered with narrowed eyes. For today's matter, I ordered 14 sets of Supreme Dragon, which is a price I paid. I wonder if you are deliberately trying to compete with me or to please him. Could he be a wine-selling host here? Hearing this, Li Dong resisted the dizziness and leaned against the wall, saying, Zhao Feiyu, I'll remember what happened today. This matter is not over yet. I tell you, you wait and see. After saying that, he pushed Zhao Feiyu aside and came to the front desk and shouted, check out. Hello sir, this is booth number 18, right? Your total spending is 2.52 million. Only 2.52 million. What is that? Li Dong shakily took out his bank card and slammed it on the table. But the next moment, he suddenly woke up. What? How much did you say? Sir, the total is 2.52 million. You ordered 14 sets of Supreme Dragon. We have waived all other drinks for you. At this moment, Li Dong sobered up instantly. Gao Qiang, pay. Li Dong looked at the bank card on the front desk and quickly turned to Gao Qiang to ask for it. In desperation, Gao Qiang could only take out his bank card and hand it over. There's nothing you can do about it. It was he who caused what happened today. Chapter 19, Supreme Dragon Set. Chapter 19, Supreme Dragon Set. I'm sorry, sir. There is only 1.2 million in this card, and your card has been frozen. Li Dong first swiped Gao Qiang's bank card. But when I got to my bank card, I was told that it was frozen. Impossible. This is the project loan I just borrowed from the bank. There is more than 30 million in it. Li Dong quickly explained. Sir, this card has indeed been frozen. How about you contact the bank? Li Dong suddenly panicked. Then he quickly took out his phone and made a call. Hello? Manager Guan, what happened to my card? Why is it frozen? Li Dong dialed the bank manager directly. It's like this, Mr. Li, Jiaxing Group issued an order to ban you just a few hours ago, so the bank's top management decided to cancel your special loan funds. Hey? What are you doing? Can I get the loaned money back? I'm telling you, I've already found someone to help with the Times Square project, and the project manager is still with me. Hurry and help me out. This matter still needs to be confirmed. How about I discuss it with the senior leaders tomorrow? No, right now, I need this money now. I'm sorry, but we're all off work now and can't get it done for you. How about you come to my place tomorrow morning and I'll do it for you? Rough. Li Dong was so angry that he threw his phone to the ground. Then he turned to Gao Qiang and said, you have to pay for today. My bank card has been frozen. I will return it to you tomorrow after I activate it. Gao Qiang looked bitter. Brother Dong, I gave you the card, but I really don't have the 1.2 million left. What are you talking about? I don't know you. Hurry up, isn't it just over 2 million? After winning the Times Square project, these are just a drop in the bucket. But I really don't have it anymore. Har har. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu suddenly burst into laughter. Why are you pretending to be a big shot when you don't have money? And you want 14 sets of Divine Dragon Supreme? With your strength? And you still want to bribe the project manager? Look, he has left. Li Dong turned around and saw that manager Li had already disappeared. See how much money I have? Zhao Feiyu asked without raising his head. Sir, you spent 3.4 million tonight. We have automatically upgraded you to a black gold member card, which is 3.2 million after the discount. In addition, we have stored the Supreme Dragon you didn't finish. You can continue to enjoy it next time you come. Zhao Feiyu nodded with satisfaction, and then paid the money under the attention of everyone. Payment successful. After seeing these four big words, Li Dong and Jiao Qiang looked ashen. No one expected that Zhao Feiyu was actually so rich. After the payment is successful, the system prompt also sounded in Zhao Feiyu's mind. Successful consumption, 10 times cash back 3.2 million. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu smiled with satisfaction. Here's your bill, everyone. The cashier at the front desk urged Jiao Qiang and the others again. Calling to ask for money, what are you doing standing there like an idiot? If it weren't for you, would I have had this problem today? I'm telling you, you have to pay for this bill today. Li Dong blamed all the faults on Jiao Qiang. You don't have to buy it if you want, but don't follow the Times Square project. After these words were spoken, Jiao Qiang could only look at others helplessly. Classmates, how about you? However, before he finished speaking, all their high school classmates who came with them left with excuses. Squad leader, you know I only make 3,000 yuan a month. Me too, I said I was a senior executive of the company, but actually I'm just a security guard. I suddenly remembered that my grandma is getting married tomorrow. I'm leaving first. Oh. My wife is about to give birth, I have to go first. My wife has given birth too, let's go together. Damn. Li Wei, you're still single. Looking at the classmates who came along and flattered him and praised him endlessly, Jiao Qiang thoroughly felt what it meant to be pushed down by everyone when a wall falls and what it meant to have people's hearts become cold and indifferent. In desperation, he could only call his wife. But the family's savings were only over 900,000 yuan, which was not enough to pay the bills. What? You have the ability to order the Supreme Dragon, but you don't have the money to pay for it. At this moment, the nightclub security surrounded the two of them. Looking at these young men with tattoos and designs on their faces, Li Dong and Jiao Qiang suddenly looked ashen. Brother Dong, we are only short of 300,000 yuan. Please think of a solution. Jiao Qiang said with an embarrassed look on his face. I don't care. If you hadn't dragged me into the private room today, would I have suffered the same misfortune as you? I tell you, you have to pay for this money today, whether you want to or not. After saying that, Li Dong bowed repeatedly to the security guards around him. Everyone, today is his treat. It has nothing to do with me. I'll leave first. After saying that, Li Dong strode away without looking back, leaving Jiao Qiang with a confused look on his face. You lose more than you gain. Jiao Qiang, you are the one who caused all the trouble today. You are now reaping the consequences. After saying that, Zhao Feiyu also turned and left. When Zhao Feiyu woke up the next day, but he found himself in a hotel. Shaking his head which was aching with pain, Zhao Feiyu wiped his face fiercely. I looked at the time and it was already past 10 in the morning. And there was a missed call from Zhang Baiyu. Zhao Feiyu then remembered that the 3 billion he promised to invest had not yet been transferred. Zhang Baiyu's account sent it last night. Zhao Feiyu immediately took out his mobile phone to transfer the money. After the transfer is successful, Zhang Baiyu called soon. Is Brother Feiyu up yet? Did you think I forgot to transfer the money to you? He. Zhang Baiyu smiled awkwardly. No, I just had something to do on my own initiative, and I wanted to ask you if it's necessary. What is it? About Song Manli. What is it? Zhao Feiyu asked quickly. I know she is your first love. When you asked me to investigate her yesterday, our people found out that your first love, Song Manli, had been an excellent student in all subjects for 3 consecutive years in college. It's such a pity that he had to drop out of school because of family reasons. Otherwise, she would definitely be an outstanding PhD in finance now. Perhaps you can be recruited by some international companies and earn tens of millions a year. So I thought about it and discussed it with the people at Tianhai University and decided to let her repeat college and complete her studies. Now I have got the re-enrollment notice. Do you think I should have someone send it to you now? Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu sat up suddenly. Really? Of course it's true. I'll have someone send it to you right now. Send me the address. Chapter 20 Going to find Song Manli. Chapter 20 Going to find Song Manli. Then Zhao Feiyu quickly sent the address to Zhang Baiyu. Zhao Feiyu felt that he owed Song Manli too much. If compensation can be made, That would be great. Thinking of this, Zhao Feiyu immediately washed up. Then prepared to look for Song Manli. After a while, Zhang Baiyu's people also sent over the re-examination notice. Zhao Feiyu thought for a moment. Song Manli should be at work now. Otherwise, just go over and give her a surprise. Thinking of this, Zhao Feiyu immediately drove to Liren Cosmetics Company, Limited. The company where Song Manli works. Mainly focusing on the promotion of cosmetics. But when Zhao Feiyu came here, he was stunned. Isn't this where Li Shanshan works? How come Song Manli and Li Shanshan work together? Thinking of this, Zhao Feiyu parked the car and walked upstairs. The office of Liren Cosmetics Company, Limited is located in a comprehensive office building. In a building with dozens of floors. There are 7 or 8 companies all gathered here. Follow the directions in the lobby. Zhao Feiyu went directly to the 13th floor where Liren Cosmetics was located. It is located in Building B and covers an area of more than 1,000 square meters. And just when Zhao Feiyu walked to the door, then I heard a loud quarrel coming from inside. Boss, I spent 3 days to come up with this promotion plan. There can't be any mistakes. A voice full of grievance came from inside. It sounded like she would burst into tears any second. Look at what you made. Can you show it to customers in this state? A sharp middle-aged female voice shouted loudly. If Shanshan hadn't come to the rescue today, would this 500,000 yuan order have been ruined by you? How much money do you make a month? Can you afford the compensation? Don't follow up on this order anymore. Let Shanshan take over the follow-up. Deduct half a year's performance bonus from you. If you can do it, do it. If you can't, get out. Right at this moment, Zhao Feiyu pushed the door open and walked in. Then he knocked on the door politely. Excuse me, is Song Manli here? Moment. Everyone's eyes were focused on the aggrieved girl. Only then did Zhao Feiyu realize that the person he had just scolded was actually Song Manli. Zhao Feiyu. Right at this moment, someone in the office seemed to recognize Zhao Feiyu. Because Zhao Feiyu often delivered meals to Li Shanshan before, many people in their company knew Zhao Feiyu. Are you here to see Sister Shanshan again? But I heard you guys are divorced, right? Are you reluctant to part with Sister Shanshan? So you came here to ask for a remarriage. As the saying goes, a real man should be more open-minded, lower his head, admit his mistakes, and let this matter be over. Everyone in the office thought that Zhao Feiyu was here to see Li Shanshan. And at this time, Li Shanshan just happened to enter the office with the manager. Didn't see Zhao Feiyu. Zhao Feiyu smiled slightly and walked in, just in time to see Song Manli with red eyes. What's wrong? Zhao Feiyu walked straight over. The others around were stunned. Why is the script wrong? How did Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli? You may not know yet, but it was Li Shanshan who cheated first, so they got divorced. I see. Zhao Feiyu's trick is really smart. He flirted with other girls in our company in front of Li Shanshan. This is murderous. I heard that Li Shanshan hooked up with the general manager of Rising Sun Design Company, which is the company owned by our boss. Nothing. What are you doing here? Song Manli took a deep breath and wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. Here's a present for you. As Zhao Feiyu spoke, he prepared to take out the notice of repeating a grade. And at this moment, Li Shanshan suddenly walked out of the office. When she saw Zhao Feiyu, she couldn't help but feel a little flustered. If Zhao Feiyu told everyone in the company about her cheating, that would be a huge disgrace to her. Zhao Feiyu? What are you doing here? Li Shanshan's voice immediately attracted others. Everyone stuck their heads out to eat the melon. The only way now is to let Zhao Feiyu leave as soon as possible. But what Li Shanshan didn't know was that the news of her cheating had already spread throughout the company. I'm telling you, there's no possibility between us, understand? Don't bother me anymore. However, what made Li Shanshan feel ashamed was Zhao Feiyu ignored her completely. Instead, he took Song Manli's hand and prepared to leave. What are you doing? Let her go. Li Shanshan suddenly felt humiliated and immediately scolded. Song Manli, you don't want to work anymore, right? It's working hours now. Go back to your seat. And at this moment, Zhao Feiyu suddenly thought of what he heard at the door just now. And Song Manli's aggrieved look. I immediately realized that it might be Li Shanshan who bullied Song Manli. Is it her? Zhao Feiyu asked Song Manli with a gloomy face. Song Manli immediately lowered her head and said nothing. Although he didn't say anything, he has proved everything. Li Shanshan, if you have anything to say to me, what are you doing to her? Zhao Feiyu suddenly became furious. What do you want to do? A trace of panic flashed across Li Shanshan's face. I called security. Why is it so noisy outside? Aren't you going to work? At this moment, a roar suddenly came from the office. Then look. A middle-aged woman wearing straight pants, high heels and short hair came out. Zhao Feiyu, what are you doing here? Aren't you and Shanshan divorced? Seeing Zhao Feiyu, the short-haired woman immediately questioned. I saw the supervisor coming out. Zhao Feiyu pulled Song Manli over. Why bully her? She. The short-haired woman was slightly stunned. What is your relationship with her? My girlfriend. Zhao Feiyu said firmly. Wait. I'm a little confused. You and Shanshan are husband and wife, even though you're divorced, but what's going on between you and Song Manli now? The short-haired woman said in confusion. Li Shanshan can cheat on her husband and find a man, but can't I find a girlfriend after my divorce? As soon as these words came out, Li Shanshan's face suddenly changed. Who are you saying is cheating? You were the one who hooked up with that stinky girl first, and I found out, which led to our divorce. Now you're actually blaming me and insulting me in front of so many people in the company. Zhao Feiyu was stunned for a moment, looking at Li Shanshan in a strange way. Li Shanshan, after being married for several years, I never realized that you were such a shameless person. I caught you and Jing Jiakai having sex in bed in the hotel that day, and I even called your parents to watch. Now you say that I betrayed you first. You should have a conscience, okay? Hear this. The other employees in the company immediately covered their mouths and laughed quietly. But before Li Shanshan could get angry, Zhao Feiyu questioned his supervisor again. What's going on with Song Manli? She didn't come here to work to be bullied. Seeing this, the supervisor suddenly laughed. When you and Li Shanshan were married before, I never saw you defending Shanshan so much. Now you come to question me for your girlfriend. Well, ask her what's going on. Zhao Feiyu grabbed Song Manli's hand and held it tightly. A strong sense of security instantly came from my hands. Chapter 21 President Qian. Chapter 21 President Qian. Song Manli slowly raised her head, looked at her supervisor and the furious Li Shanshan, gritted her teeth and spoke loudly. I worked on the plan in 3 days and 3 nights. The content in the USB flash drive is not what I gave to the client. The one in Li Shanshan's hand is the plan I made. You're talking nonsense. Do you have any evidence? Li Shanshan stopped him immediately. Hear this. Zhao Feiyu already understood what was going on. A first-love girlfriend and an ex-wife. They should be the two people Zhao Feiyu is most familiar with. This happened. Zhao Feiyu could tell who was right and who was wrong with his toes. Seeing this, Zhao Feiyu looked around. Who is the ghost? Can't we just check the surveillance? If there is no surveillance, can't we just ask the building manager to see who has entered and left the office recently? Director Dai, you are drawing conclusions based on nothing more than your mouth. You will make your subordinates feel disheartened if you do this. Hearing this, Li Shanshan's face suddenly changed. But then she felt relieved. Zhao Feiyu. Manager Dai frowned, looking slightly displeased. No matter who is right or wrong, this is our company's business. Now that you and Shanshan are divorced, you are considered an outsider. This matter has nothing to do with you, right? Zhao Feiyu heard this and took Song Manli into his arms. Didn't I say it? Song Manli is my girlfriend. If my girlfriend is wronged, it has something to do with me. This is your company's business, but if you slander my girlfriend, then it has something to do with me. This happened in your company. If it happened outside, then those who slandered people and stole things would all be arrested. Do you understand? Manager Dai looked at Song Manli with a fixed gaze. Song Manli, are you sure you want to do this? This matter is over. I can take back the penalty of your half-year performance salary. If you insist on doing this, you may lose your job. I also know that your family situation is not very good. This job may be very important to you. You just came to the company, and you should know how to make a choice. Hearing this, Song Manli's face suddenly changed. He was afraid that Zhao Feiyu beside him would hear something. Then, Song Manli pulled Zhao Feiyu's foot and said in a pleading tone, "Feiyu, forget it, it's over, don't pursue it." Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu's face suddenly turned cold. He looked at Song Manli with some disbelief. Is this still the same confident and proud Song Manli? In the past, her grandfather was the top leader of Yunduan City. His father is a business tycoon in Yunduan City. She is a princess who is high above everyone else. And now? They actually have to kowtow just to make a living. Thinking of this, Zhao Feiyu's heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. If I didn't agree to break up at the beginning, face those difficult years with her, maybe she is not like this now. Why not pursue it? Zhao Feiyu's attitude immediately became tough. You didn't do anything wrong. After saying that, he looked at Manager Dai. Investigate it. This matter must be investigated thoroughly. Hearing this, Li Shanshan suddenly became anxious. If this is checked, I will definitely be exposed. Just when she was panicking, the boss of Li Ren Cosmetics Company and a group of people walked in from outside. When I looked over, I saw Jing Jiakai among them. This company is one of the shareholders of Shuri Design Company and is an investment made by his wife. Came here today and stopped by for an inspection. What's going on? Why are you all standing here? A middle-aged woman with a plump figure, curly hair and a loose floral skirt walked in with a stern look on her face. This person turned out to be the boss of Li Ren Cosmetics, the wife of a shareholder of Rising Sun. Next to her, her husband stood there silently, watching everything with great interest. He also wanted to see how his wife managed the company on a daily basis. It's obviously working hours now, and this group of people gathered here, and no one knows what they are doing. That's right. Manager Dai immediately stepped forward and recounted what had just happened. Zhao Feiyu was nearby and did not add any exaggeration. Seeing this, Jing Jiakai behind him immediately walked up. Director Zhu, this Li Shanshan is my current girlfriend. Oh? Jiakai? You are really good, you even extended your hand to my wife's company. The middle-aged man called Director Zhu immediately laughed. No, it's all coincidence, it's all coincidence. Jing Jiakai waved his hands repeatedly. But Director Zhu walked up without even looking at Zhao Feiyu. He said directly to his wife, Li Shanshan is also a veteran employee of the company. She would never do such a thing. This time it must be the newcomer who made a mistake. Let's just forget about it. The middle-aged woman nodded, not wanting to delve into the matter any further. After all, this matter didn't delay anything. So he waved his hand and said directly, okay, let's just forget about this matter, let's get back to work. Hearing this, Li Shanshan immediately breathed a sigh of relief and secretly winked at Jing Jiakai. Jing Jiakai came here with Director Zhu today to give Li Shanshan courage, and also to let Director Zhu and his wife get to know him, so that I can take care of you in the future. I didn't expect to meet Zhao Feiyu here and such a thing happened. Why? Zhao Feiyu was the first to be dissatisfied. It was obviously my girlfriend's hard work that was stolen. You are so protective of the old employee. How will other employees feel about this matter? You must give me an explanation today. Who are you? The boss asked with a stern look on his face. Are you an employee of our company? Manager Dai immediately explained, he is Song Manli's boyfriend. This is an internal matter of our company. What does it have to do with you? The boss rolled his eyes at Zhao Feiyu and didn't bother to pay attention. Etc. And at this moment, Director Zhu behind him suddenly asked sharply. What did you say? What's her name? Manager Dai was a little confused, and blinked and said, Song Manli. Hearing this, Director Zhu's face suddenly changed, and then he said in an unquestionable tone, since others are crying out for injustice, then this matter must be explained. Let's investigate it thoroughly to find out what is going on. Hear this. Everyone looked at Director Zhu in disbelief. Even his wife asked with some suspicion, what's wrong with you? What does this have to do with you? Do you know this Song Manli? Director Zhu pulled his wife aside and whispered, at the dinner last night, Chairman Qian was having dinner with people from Jiaxing Group, and then he asked me something. He said that there was a new person named Song Manli in the Liren Cosmetics company that I opened for you, and he wanted me to take good care of her. I came here with you today for this matter, but I didn't expect something like this to happen. President Qian? Is he the president of the Jiangbei City Feuding Chamber of Commerce? Director Zhu's wife runs this company and has a certain understanding of the business world in Jiangbei City. Chapter 22 Favorability Soars. Chapter 22 Favorability Soars. This President Qian is a business tycoon whom they worship. He said this, it must be related to this Song Manli. So what do we do now? Director Zhu thought for a moment, then his face straightened. We must give Song Manli an explanation for this matter, otherwise Chairman Qian will definitely not let us off. But isn't Li Shanshan also the girlfriend of manager Jing from your company? Jing Jiakai is nothing, how can he compare with President Qian? I see. Then, the two of them immediately came in front of everyone. The boss lady ordered Director Dai in a swift and decisive manner, what Mr. Zhao said is correct. If we don't investigate thoroughly, it will chill all the employees. Call someone over and start investigating this matter. If anyone takes any action to slander a colleague, don't blame me for not giving them face. R. Li Shanshan screamed in surprise and looked at Jing Jiakai with pleading eyes. The origin of this matter started when Zhao Feiyu just got divorced. That day, Zhao Feiyu met Song Manli and went to the Cloud restaurant for dinner. Met Jing Jiakai and Li Shanshan. From that day on, Li Shanshan remembered Song Manli. Who would have thought that a new person would come to their company the next day? It was Song Manli. It was not until yesterday at a class reunion that Li Shanshan met Song Manli again. Finally, Song Manli and Zhao Feiyu were seen leaving hand in hand. All of this made Li Shanshan feel angry and want revenge. So today, he took advantage of this opportunity to replace the fruits of Song Manli's labor. After all the security guards checked out the surveillance videos, everyone looked at Li Shanshan, who came to the company before 6 o'clock this morning. All was silent. The company starts work at 8 o'clock. Li Shanshan arrived before 6 o'clock. You know there's something fishy going on without asking. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Li Shanshan looked ashen and sat down on the ground with a plop. I didn't mean to do that, I didn't mean to do that. Seeing this scene, everyone felt incredible. Why would Li Shanshan do such a thing? She is a veteran of our company. This project is only worth a few 100,000 yuan, and the bonus is only tens of thousands of yuan. Is it worth it? I think it's all because of Zhao Feiyu. Li Shanshan wants to take revenge on Song Manli because of Zhao Feiyu. After hearing this, everyone finally understood. Director Zhu walked up to Song Manli and shouted at Li Shanshan, as an old employee of the company, you don't protect the new employees and set an example. You even dare to steal other people's achievements. If you call the police, you will go to jail. The boss's wife also came over and said, Li Shanshan, since you are a long-time employee of the company will not pursue this matter, but you should stop here. The company does not allow people with bad behavior like you to appear. I am officially notifying you now that you are fired. After that, the two looked at Song Manli. Ms. Song, are you satisfied with this result? Song Manli nodded, somewhat flattered. She didn't expect that her boss's attitude towards her would be like this. Even Zhao Feiyu next to him was a little surprised. But think about it. Zhao Feiyu then understood. If nothing unexpected happens, it must be Zhang Baiyu's fault. Jing Jiakai, who was standing behind him, so that his wife had been fired. He immediately went up to Director Zhu and pleaded, Director Zhu, Shanshan is my girlfriend. Please look at this matter. How about giving her a detention for observation? Hearing this, Director Zhu did not give Jing Jiakai any face at all, and snorted coldly, if this happened to our company, or to you, I would handle it the same way. Manager Zheng, you'd better stay away from this kind of woman, and don't let her drag you down. After saying that, Director Zhu and his wife left. Manager Dai looked at Li Shanshan with pity, then smiled and said to Song Manli, Manli, Li Shanshan has resigned now. Starting today, you will be responsible for her work, okay? When these words were spoken, the other employees were in an uproar. Li Shanshan is an old employee and is now a team leader. This means that a newcomer who has just arrived for a few days will be directly promoted to a newcomer. Oh, this is not good. What just happened was really too mysterious. Song Manli had no time to digest what had just happened. Wait a moment. At this moment, Zhao Feiyu stopped Manager Dai and pulled Song Manli out. After going out, Song Manli calmed down immediately when the wind blew. Is it because of you? Song Manli came to her senses immediately. What just happened was simply outrageous. Whether it is Supervisor Dai or their boss's wife. If there were no special reasons, they would not have done this to Li Shanshan. The only explanation is Zhao Feiyu. Zhao Feiyu smiled slightly and did not explain. Instead, he directly took out the notice of repeating a grade. After seeing the 4 big words, Tianhai University, on the notice, Song Manli's pupils suddenly shrank. These 4 words are her lifelong regret. Forced to drop out of school that year, Song Manli bid farewell to her college life completely. Now seeing it again, the past is too painful to look back on. A stream of hot tears suddenly welled up in my eyes and flowed from the corners of my eyes. I know everything about you. The time you broke up with me wasn't a bullshit distance at all. It's only now that I understand that the distance test on our love is just a game of house. The misfortune in your family caused you to lose everything. I regret not facing it with you at the beginning, and letting you bear it all alone. Speaking of this, Zhao Feiyu pulled Song Manli into his arms. I'm sorry, Manli, it's my fault. But Song Manli's body was trembling. She could no longer hold back and buried herself in Zhao Feiyu's arms and started crying. After a long time, the two of them slowly separated. She had waited too long for this day. From now on, let me make it up to you for my previous mistakes, okay? This is a notice for repeating a grade from Tianhai University. You can return to the university now, repeat your grade from your junior year, and graduate successfully. See everything Zhao Feiyu did. Song Manli smiled with relief. When we broke up, I didn't want to implicate Zhao Feiyu. There is no right or wrong. And now everything is relieved. Zhao Feiyu's divorce was a chance God gave Song Manli to return to Zhao Feiyu. Song Manli took the notice with some trembling, and said with some fear, "It's been several years since we met on campus again. Can I still keep up? I believe in you. You can do it. You were the best back then. Open the book and you will still be the invincible female general." Zhao Feiyu clenched his fists and cheered for Song Manli. Song Manli raised her head slowly. There were stars shining in those eyes. An aura of confidence and strength erupted from Song Manli. At the same time, Zhao Feiyu heard the system prompts one after another. Song Manli's favorability +5. Song Manli's favorability +5. Song Manli's favorability +5. A moment. Song Manli's favorability level soared to 95 points. Just a little bit to reach 100 points. Zhao Feiyu sighed with some regret. It seems like there is still a little opportunity missing. At the same time, Song Manli's information also appeared in Zhao Feiyu's mind. Song Manli, 25 years old. Favorability, 95. Appearance, 95. Chapter 23 Heading to Cloud City. Chapter 23 Heading to Cloud City. Take a stroll in the garden downstairs. Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli held hands. At this moment, Li Shanshan and Jing Real walked out in embarrassment. Seeing the two happy people, Li Shanshan's eyes flashed with viciousness. Zhao Feiyu, just wait for me, I am not done with you in this matter. Li Shanshan pointed at Zhao Feiyu and yelled at him. Do you think that if you get me fired, she can take my place? I'm telling you, it's not that easy. This matter will never end with you. From now on, it's either you or me. After saying that, Li Shanshan turned and left. Jing Real behind her hurriedly chased after her. Shanshan, Shanshan. Wait for me. Get out of here, you piece of shit. Didn't you say you had a good relationship with your chairman? Why was I the one who was fired? Li Shanshan screamed hysterically. Then why did you steal someone else's USB drive? Blame me. Blame me, right? That bitch is Zhao Feiyu's girlfriend, and I just don't want Zhao Feiyu to have a good time. The two walked away. A sneer appeared on Zhao Feiyu's lips inadvertently. As Li Shanshan said, this is just the beginning. Their hatred of cuckold is irreconcilable. Zhao Feiyu is determined to bring disgrace upon Li Shanshan. Back to the company again. Song Manli directly submitted her resignation application. This gave manager Dai a fright. Everyone can see clearly what happened today. Director Zhu deliberately protected Song Manli. If Song Manli resigns because of this, Director Zhu will not let her go. Thinking of this, manager Dai immediately chased after him. Manli, wait a minute, are you still dissatisfied with this matter? I will definitely meet all your requirements. But Zhao Feiyu smiled slightly. Manager Dai, we are very satisfied with your company's handling of this matter, but Manli has her own higher pursuits. Her resignation has nothing to do with this matter. If Director Zhu pursues it, you can just answer with your original words. After saying that, the two of them left the company directly. Manager Dai immediately called and informed Director Zhu of the situation. When Director Zhu arrived at the company, Zhao Feiyu and others had already left. I hope President Xian won't pursue this matter. Director Zhu thought anxiously. The other side. In the car. Get in the car again. Song Manli said apologetically, I'm sorry, I thought you really rented this car. Zhao Feiyu smiled and said, it's incredible to say it out loud, but from now on, we have to face each other calmly. Song Manli nodded, so what are you going to do next? Zhao Feiyu thought for a moment, I want to go see your family. Your father was once a business tycoon, but he was devastated because of that incident. If possible, I want him to come out of retirement. Song Manli exclaimed suddenly. But he is not in business anymore. Nothing, I will convince him. He once returned from overseas and was a big shot in Yinduan City. If he becomes decadent because of this, wouldn't it be a waste of his fame? If he can return, I will support him with all my strength, just like the old General Huang Zhang, and he can shake the world again. Zhao Feiyu said with high spirits. Hearing this, Song Manli's blood boiled. Shall we go back now? Zhao Feiyu nodded, well, go back and pack up, we will go directly to Yinduan City, and then you will report to Qianhai University. Then. Zhao Feiyu sent Song Manli back to the rental house. Then I came to the hospital immediately. It will probably take several days to get to Yinduan City. In order to avoid making Zhang Yafi worry, Zhao Feiyu decided to come and talk to her in person. Walk into the ward with some nutritional supplements. Zhao Feiyu saw Zhang Yafi feeding ant porridge. When she saw Zhao Feiyu coming in, a look of surprise flashed in Zhang Yafi's beautiful eyes. Full favorability. Zhang Yafi has already fallen in love with Zhao Feiyu. Auntie, are you feeling better? Zhao Feiyu put the things down and asked with concern. I'm feeling better now. The operation went smoothly. Feiyu, thank you. Auntie expressed her sincere gratitude. She had wanted to die countless times in the past. Don't drag down Zhang Yafi. But Zhang Yafi encouraged her regardless and gave her hope to live. Feiyu. The aunt looked at Zhao Feiyu kindly. Yafi told me everything. You will be responsible for all the expenses for this operation. Of course, I can also see Yafi's feelings for you. Speaking of this. Auntie placed Yafi's hand on the back of Zhao Feiyu's hand. I hope you two will live a good life in the future and don't let Yafi down. Don't worry, Auntie. I will definitely treat Yafi well. Zhao Feiyu smiled slightly and looked at Zhang Yafi. Eyes met. Zhang Yafi smiled happily. Right at this moment. Song Manli called suddenly. Zhao Feiyu immediately stood up and answered the phone. Is everything ready? I'll be right over. After hanging up the phone, Zhao Feiyu gave Zhang Yafi a look. Zhang Yafi understood and walked out immediately. There is something I want to confess to you. I like you, so I don't want to hide these things from you. Zhao Feiyu directly told the story about Song Manli. Of course, emotionally. Zhao Feiyu still concealed something. Hear about what happened to Song Manli. Zhang Yafi said regretfully, in that case, I'll help if I can, but that's your first love, don't you have any feelings? Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but smile awkwardly. I confessed this to you because I didn't want to hide it from you. Although it's my first love, I can still handle it emotionally. Seeing this, Zhang Yafi smiled slightly and said calmly, I know, I believe you, I'll wait for you to come back. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu gently embraced Zhang Yafi in his arms, and then whispered in her ear, everything good has just begun, I will give you a bright future. Zhang Yafi's body trembled suddenly, she turned back and closed her eyes. Zhao Feiyu lowered his head slightly and kissed her gently. After a moment, the two reluctantly parted. Zhang Yafi tilted her head slightly and smiled, go ahead, I'll wait for you to come back, be careful on the road. Zhao Feiyu nodded and kissed his forehead again. Then he turned and left the hospital. Drive to Song Manli's rental house. Song Manli has already packed her things in large and small bags. Keep it in your car. Zhao Feiyu went to the mall again to buy some gifts, and then walked towards Yunduan City. Yunduan City is a neighboring city of Jiangbei. The distance is more than 400 kilometers. It will take more than 3 hours to get there. The Porsche was running on the wide and flat highway. Soon the two arrived at Yunduan City. Zhao Feiyu had been to Yunduan City several times before. At that time, it was Song Manli who brought him here. A few years passed in a flash. Everything seems to be vivid in my mind. The car drove towards an old community in the suburbs. Under Song Manli's guidance, the car finally stopped. Looking at the walls of the community where the paint is peeling off, Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but sigh secretly. Back then, Song Manli's family lived in the Yinshanju villa in Yunduan City. Take a deep breath. Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli walked into the community carrying large and small bags. Chapter 24 Invitation to come out. Chapter 24 Invitation to come out. Ding dong. Song Manli knocked on her door with excitement. Who is it? An old voice came from inside. Squeak. The old wooden door was opened, and Song Manli's grandfather, Song Beichao, opened the door. The old man had grey hair and a face full of wrinkles, but he looked old and held his head high. The attitude of the former top leader of Yunduan City is still there. Manli. Song Beichao's eyes suddenly lit up, and his voice was filled with longing. Why are you back? Grandfather. When she saw her family, Song Manli returned to her original lively and cute self. Walk through the door. Zhao Feiyu looked around. I found that this house of less than 100 square meters was kept very clean, and the balcony was full of potted flowers, which was quite interesting. Where are my parents? Song Manli sat down on the sofa, swinging her legs, and asked. You didn't even introduce yourself to the guests. How did you teach me? The old man said angrily. Song Manli immediately stuck out her tongue playfully and said, This is my classmate, Zhao Feiyu, who has been to our house before. Zhao Feiyu. The old man thought about it for a moment and immediately remembered. That's your boyfriend that you dated for 3 years in high school. Why are you dating him again now? Song Manli has also reached the age of getting married. No one in my family objects to these things. It's fate. Song Manli and Zhao Feiyu glanced at each other and smiled. By the way, where did my parents go? After you went to Jiangbei City, your family recently bought a restaurant, and they went to the restaurant to work. Hearing this, Song Manli couldn't help feeling sad. What a man his father was back then. Now he only runs a small restaurant to support his family. The old man straightened his clothes, then sat down and asked, What do you do for a living, young man? Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu immediately sat up straight. Faced with the old man's interrogation, Zhao Feiyu couldn't help feeling a little nervous. I don't have a proper job, and I'm planning to invest in my own business. Oh? Any ideas? Song Beichao still admired such young people who were daring and enterprising. Because Song Manli's father was once such an idealistic and ambitious person. I don't have any ideas. I'm like a headless fly, I don't know where to start. I'm in need of a leader to lead the way. Zhao Feiyu said with a hint of meaning. The old man raised his eyebrows, as if he heard another meaning. Right at this moment, there was a sound of a door opening. A few people looked back and saw Song Manli's parents walking in from outside. Oh my god, he finally got it. It took a lot of effort. Dad, Yunfeng has negotiated a deal to buy that small restaurant. The other party offered 32,000 yuan, but Yunfeng bargained down to 28,000 yuan and sold it to him. Huh? Are there guests at home? Manli. When the two of them entered the door, they were immediately delighted. Mom. Where did you go? Song Manli walked over like a spoiled child and quickly hugged her mother Zhang Meiji. By the way, where's my sister? Song Manli also has an older sister who is a middle school teacher. They were married before, but I heard that they divorced after their family went bankrupt. Still single now. Your sister is at school. By the way, why are you back? Who is this? Song Manli introduced a little embarrassedly. Dad, Mom, let me introduce you, this is my classmate, Zhao Feiyu, you have met him before. Hearing this, the two of them frowned immediately. They met at the same university. But Song Manli's parents forced Song Manli to go to Qianhai University. Later, something happened at home. The two never contacted each other again. Song Manli did not tell the two of them about their breakup. This made Song Yunfeng think that Zhao Feiyu had heard about their family affairs and proposed to break up. Since we've already separated, why do we still need to keep in touch after all these years? Song Yunfeng snorted coldly and sat down. Zhao Feiyu looked at Song Manli blankly, somewhat puzzled as to why her father had this attitude. I don't think I did anything wrong. Uncle, Song Yunfeng waved his hand to interrupt Zhao Feiyu. I didn't approve of your relationship back then. Even though our family is down and out now, I still don't agree with you two dating. Uncle, did you misunderstand something? Misunderstanding? What could I misunderstand? You are such a realistic and ruthless person, what could I misunderstand about you? Song Yunfeng scolded harshly. Did you break up with Manli when you heard that our family went bankrupt? We haven't seen each other for many years, how come you are in touch again suddenly? Hear this. Zhao Feiyu suddenly realized what was going on and quickly gave Song Manli a look, asking her to explain. Dad, you really misunderstood Feiyu. When we broke up, Feiyu really didn't know anything. I didn't want to implicate him, so I proposed the breakup. We only met again at a class reunion 2 days ago. Song Manli quickly explained. No matter what, as a man, don't you even have this little bit of responsibility? Okay, stop arguing. At this moment, Zhang Meiji stood up and interrupted the conversation. Manli, come to the kitchen and help me pick the vegetables. Let these grown men chat for a while. Oh. Song Manli walked towards the kitchen somewhat worriedly, fearing that her father would make things difficult for Zhao Feiyu again. Uncle, I brought some wine for you and Grandpa, how about we drink it later? The most direct way to chat with a man is with cigarettes and alcohol. As he spoke, Zhao Feiyu took out an old jar weighing about 5 pounds, on which a Kang character was pasted with red paper. Kang's Winery. Old man Song Beichao recognized the wine at first sight. The old man is really well informed, and it seems he is also a wine lover. Zhao Feiyu put it on the coffee table. Yes, this is indeed the wine from Kang's Winery. As far as I know, this wine isn't for sale to the public. How did you get it? Song Yunfeng also immediately became interested. Although he had a keen eye, he could tell from the wine that Zhao Feiyu was somewhat extraordinary. A friend gave it to me. Bring it over to let Uncle and Grandpa have a taste. Seeing the expressions of the two, Zhao Feiyu knew that he had made the right purchase. Although this wine is not sold to the public, people who have it can sell it to the public. There is nothing in this world that money cannot buy. Zhao Feiyu originally prepared things like flying. But when you think about how the Song family was once a wealthy family, even the Fei Qian family is vulgar. It seems that what I chose was the right one. What do you do now? Song Yunfeng's attitude improved slightly. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu glanced at the old man and smiled. I'm preparing to invest in a business, but I don't have a direction yet. It seems that you and Manli came back for some purpose. Song Yunfeng's eyes were so sharp that he could see what Zhao Feiyu was thinking at a glance. That's all I have to say. Zhao Feiyu no longer concealed anything and said straight to the point, to be honest, Uncle, I really didn't know anything about your family's affairs back then. I didn't know that Manli dropped out of school because of this. If I had known that, I would definitely not have stood idly by. At least, I would not have let Manli drop out of school and let the Song family fall. Oh. Song Yunfeng immediately sneered. What a big mouth. Seeing this, Zhao Feiyu didn't care. Just a slight smile. Pretending to be better than yourself is better at it. I met Manli again at a class reunion 2 days ago. I heard about what happened back then and I felt really guilty about it. Zhao Feiyu said sincerely. In order to make up for my feelings for Manli, I decided to let Manli return to Qianhai University to repeat her studies until she completes her education. And this visit to my uncle and grandfather also has my own personal purpose. That is, I want my uncle to come out and stand at the top of Yunduan City again, or even the top of the entire Dragon Country. Chapter 25 Entering the Room by Mistaken Means. Chapter 25 Accidentally Entering the Room. As soon as these words came out, Song Yunfeng was really shocked. But then he burst into laughter. Boy, do you know what you are talking about? Of course I know. Zhao Feiyu said lightly. But I just don't know if my uncle is still as good as ever. Song Yunfeng's gaze changed from disdain at first to gradual shock, and then to contemplation of himself. Has he ever not thought about the rest of his life? Or in other words, from the day of bankruptcy, I began to fantasize about being able to stand on the top again. But as time went by, he gradually grew old. As of today, he is 58 years old. According to the normal retirement time, in 2 years he will be able to enjoy his retirement. But he was unwilling to give in. Soon, Song Yun-fong woke up from his brief emotion. Young man, do you know how much confidence you need to say this? The capital I need to come out of retirement is not as simple as you think. Zhao Feiyu shook his head confidently. Don't worry about this, uncle. Now I just want to ask you a question, or I want to ask you a question. Do you still want to walk around the mall in Yunduan City? Hearing this, Song Yun-fong couldn't help but look at his father. However, Song Beichao ignored it and looked at the jar of wine on the table with interest. Then he stood up and walked to the balcony to fiddle with his potted plants. Seeing this scene, Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but smile. The old man's meaning is very clear. Now the decision is in Song Yun-feng's hands. Whether he wants to or not is up to him. Seeing this, Zhao Feiyu immediately struck while the iron was hot and continued, if you are worried that your body can't handle it, you don't have to worry about it at all. Your role is just to serve as a guide. You don't have to do everything yourself. Hearing this, Song Yun-feng took a deep breath and asked, what direction and strategy do you have? Can you tell me about it? Zhao Feiyu shook his head. The direction and strategy are in your hands. I will not interfere in all this because I know that even if I tell you my direction and strategy, you will still execute it according to your own ideas. Song Yun-feng slowly picked up a cup of tea and took a sip. In this tiny movement, Zhao Feiyu saw that his right hand holding the teacup was trembling slightly. Obviously, he is going through a process of self-persuasion. After a moment, Song Yun-feng slowly raised his head, stared at Zhao Feiyu with his tiger eyes and asked, how much startup capital do you have at the beginning? Zhao Feiyu slowly stretched out a finger. Seeing this scene, Song Yun-feng frowned, 10 million. However, Zhao Feiyu shook his head. Seeing this, Song Yun-feng's brows relaxed immediately, 100 million. However, Zhao Feiyu continued to shake his head. Song Yun-feng supported his knees with his hands, and asked with a slight tremor in his body, 1 billion. Only then did Zhao Feiyu nod. Hearing this, Song Yun-feng let out a long breath. When old man Song Beichao, who was standing on the balcony, heard this number, he couldn't help but look at Zhao Feiyu. Being able to come up with 1 billion in startup capital at once shows that Zhao Feiyu's ability is absolutely extraordinary. At this moment, the old man slowly walked over and sat down. I really want to know what your purpose is. Zhao Feiyu turned his head and looked towards the kitchen, where Song Manli and his mother were busy cooking. Seeing this figure, Zhao Feiyu smiled slightly. I feel guilty for not facing the difficulties with Manli at the beginning. Everything I do now is to make up for it and redeem it. Hearing this, the old man nodded with satisfaction. From this point, we can see that Zhao Feiyu is a man of affection and righteousness. It is absolutely reassuring to cooperate with such people. Then, the old man gave Song Yun-feng a pertinent look. After receiving his father's affirmation, Song Yun-feng nodded vigorously, okay. Young man, if you trust me, I will definitely earn you 10 billion out of this 1 billion. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu stood up excitedly and said, Uncle, don't worry. Even if you lose all the 1 billion, I don't care. I will even continue to invest in you later. You can give it a try. Song Yun-feng was slightly displeased when he heard this. Young man, it seems that you are still a little worried about me. Do you really think that I am too old and will lose all your 1 billion? Zhao Feiyu burst into laughter and said, Uncle, you misunderstood me. That's really not what I meant. What are you talking about? You look so happy. Just at this moment, Song Manli came out wearing an apron and carrying food. Seeing Zhao Feiyu and his family getting along so happily and harmoniously, Song Manli immediately felt relieved. She was also worried that her father would make things difficult for Zhao Feiyu. But now it seems that there is no need for this at all. Soon the food was served, and a table full of delicious dishes was neatly placed on the table. Zhao Feiyu quickly opened the wine, then found a wine dispenser and poured it for the old man and Song Yun-feng respectively. Grandpa, uncle, this glass of wine is for you and for us to have a great victory. After saying that, Zhao Feiyu drank it all in one gulp. Hearing this, Song Manli was a little confused. What does it mean to win the first battle? What were you talking about just now? Without waiting for Zhao Feiyu to speak, Song Yun-feng said, Feiyu plans to invest in me so that I can continue my old business. Song Manli opened her mouth in surprise and looked at Zhao Feiyu in disbelief. Why didn't you tell me in advance? You told my dad about this without telling me. And my dad is almost 60 years old this year. How can he have the energy to help you do these things? Zhao Feiyu smiled apologetically and said, my uncle's previous company affairs are also a matter of concern to him. Although he is over 50 years old, I believe that my uncle will never give up for his dream. And I have already told my uncle not to do everything by himself, and to let his subordinates do it as long as money can solve the problem, so it is not very tiring. After hearing this, Song Manli nodded with relief. After 3 rounds of drinks, Zhao Feiyu said to Song Yunfeng, the funds will be in place tomorrow, but I will transfer it to Manli first. Why? Song Yunfeng was a little confused. Wouldn't it be better to transfer the money directly to him? Why bother? However, Zhao Feiyu shook his head. Although it's troublesome and an extra procedure, it means a lot to me. Song Yunfeng nodded and didn't ask any more questions. The reason why Zhao Feiyu went to so much trouble was to transfer the money to Song Manli first. I just want to see if the money invested in Song Yunfeng, passing through Song Manli, will be considered by the system as being spent by Song Manli. If possible, there will be a 20-fold cashback. After drinking more than 70 glasses of wine, everyone felt a little dizzy. Old man Song Beichao has fallen into a deep sleep. Zhao Feiyu was also arranged to rest in Song Meili's room. When Zhao Feiyu woke up, it was already past 3 in the morning. Zhao Feiyu lifted the quilt in a daze and walked out in the dark, looking for some water to drink. The biggest headache for drinkers is thirst. Coming to the water dispenser, Zhao Feiyu drank 3 full cups of water in big gulps, then he burped comfortably. Then, Zhao Feiyu walked towards the room with his eyes narrowed and blurry. But who would have thought that just when Zhao Feiyu had just fallen asleep, he suddenly felt as if there was someone more beside him. Zhao Feiyu, who was dizzy, didn't care and fell asleep in a daze. When he woke up the next day, Zhao Feiyu was awakened by a scream. Song Yunfeng and Zhang Meiji immediately walked in from outside. Chapter 26, Yunshanju. Chapter 26, Yunshanju. Zhao Feiyu was seen wearing clothes and looking around in confusion. On his left side, a beautiful woman who looked somewhat similar to Song Manli, but more mature, charming, and sexy than Song Manli, was sleeping next to him. Seeing this scene, Song Yunfeng instantly became furious. He gave Zhao Feiyu a big slap as soon as he came up. Bang! Zhao Feiyu was already feeling a little dizzy. I was even more at a loss after being slapped. Dad, who is he? Why is he in my bed? The beautiful woman next to him was so scared that she quickly put on her shoes, got out of bed, and hid behind Song Yunfeng. Song Yunfeng stepped forward and grabbed Zhao Feiyu by the collar, threatening him viciously, "You stinky boy, don't think that you can do whatever you want to my daughter just because you invested in me and let me go back to my old business. Isn't it enough for you to have Manli? You actually want to get your hands on my eldest daughter. I'm going to beat you to death right now." At this moment, Song Manli walked in from another room in her pajamas, looking confused. "What's wrong with you?" Seeing Song Manli, Zhao Feiyu quickly asked for help. "Manli, please save me, I don't know what happened, I was sleeping soundly and there was a woman next to me." "You little bastard, I think you were drunk and mad last night and deliberately slept in my daughter's bed." Song Yunfeng raised his fist to teach Zhao Feiyu a lesson, but was quickly stopped by Song Manli. "Dad, wait a minute, is there any misunderstanding here?" "What misunderstanding could there be? This bastard slept directly on your sister's bed and was caught by us. What misunderstanding could there be? Then why am I in my own room? Didn't I sleep with my sister last night? How come our positions have been switched?" Hearing this, Song Yunfeng stopped suspiciously. At this moment, Mr. Song passed by outside and said calmly, "There are surveillance cameras at home. Can't we find out by taking a look?" Mr. Song sat on the sofa with a calm expression. Because he knew very well that Zhao Feiyu would never do such a thing. Putting aside other things, the clothes Zhao Feiyu wears can prove himself. Because of Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli's sister, their clothes were intact. Song Yunfeng suddenly realized what was going on, nodded, took out his cell phone, and started checking the surveillance footage. He pointed at Zhao Feiyu and warned, "If you do anything ridiculous, I will never forgive you." But when the surveillance footage returned to last night, everyone suddenly realized what had happened. After Zhao Feiyu finished drinking, Song Manli sent him back to his room, where he fell into a deep sleep. Until midnight. Song Manli's sister Song Chanwan just came back from outside. After the two sisters chatted for a while, they went into Song Chanwan's room to rest together. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Zhao Feiyu came out because he was thirsty. After drinking the water, because he was not familiar with the home layout, he went straight to Song Chanwan's room. About half an hour later, Song Manli also came out of the room to drink water. After drinking water, she subconsciously returned to her room. Until this morning. Zhao Feiyu smiled bitterly and said, "Uncle, I was really drunk last night. After drinking water, I returned to the room in a daze. I don't know why I went to the wrong room. But you can see that although my sister and I slept in the same bed, our clothes were intact." Seeing this, Song Yunfeng finally breathed a sigh of relief. It was a simple fast that made the atmosphere a little awkward. After breakfast, Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli left in a hurry. He didn't dare to look at his sister during the whole process. However, we have to admit that Song Manli's sister Song Chanwan is truly a beauty. Although Song Chanwan was married, she had no children. Her whole body is full of mature and charming aura. Compared with the little girl Song Manli, it's completely two different experiences. What happened last night was so embarrassing. Zhao Feiyu smiled as he drove. "It's really crowded and inconvenient for your family of 5 to live in that small 100 square meter house. I'll take you to buy a bigger house and let your uncle and aunt move in." How can this be possible? I can't take your money. Song Manli waved her hands repeatedly to refuse. But Zhao Feiyu had already thought of an excuse. "I'm already prepared to invest 1 billion in your father, so what's the big deal about buying him a house? Besides, this house is also my return for my investment in him." After hearing this, Song Manli had no reason to refute. Afterwards, the two of them went directly to the sales center. "Since we need to move in as soon as possible, it would be best to choose a house that was newly built in the past 2 years." With the previous experience of buying a house for Zhang Yafi, Zhao Feiyu brought Song Manli directly to the agency center. Now the 1 billion yuan is still in his hands and has not been invested in Song Yunfeng. In terms of the price of the house, Zhao Feiyu directly chose the highest standard house in Yinduan City. In addition, Song Manli's appearance is as high as 95 points, so if you spend money on her, the cashback rate will reach 15 times. Just when they were choosing a house, Zhao Feiyu suddenly discovered that Song Manli had been eyeing the house in Yinshanju Villa. That used to be Song Manli's home. Until now, Song Manli still has a strong sense of belonging to Yinshanju. Thinking of this, Zhao Feiyu immediately called the salesperson, pointed to the Yinshanju Villa and asked, "How much does a house in Yinshanju cost now?" The salesperson smiled and said, "I'm sorry, Yunshan Villa is not for sale right now." Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu frowned immediately. Then he turned around and asked, "Manli, I remember your family used to live in Yinshanju. I wonder which villa you are in Yinshanju." Song Manli pointed to the villa with the best location in Yinshanju and said, "It's in villa number 18. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu nodded and asked the salesperson, "Can you help me contact the owner of villa number 18 and tell him that I want to buy their villa, and the price is not a problem?" The salesperson said with some embarrassment. "I'm afraid this is a bit difficult. Go and help me negotiate. If you succeed, I'll give you 5 points of the selling price as a reward." Hearing this, the salesperson's eyes widened and he quickly called the manager over. The lowest selling price of Yinshanju villas is more than 50 million, and the price of the top of the building villa may exceed 100 million. If it's 5 points, that's 5 million. Upon hearing such a reward, the sales manager agreed immediately. Seeing that Zhao Feiyu actually wanted to buy their family's previous house, Song Manli quickly stopped him. "Are you crazy? The price of this house is at least 80 million. If they don't want to sell it, it will cost at least 100 million to complete the deal." Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu smiled slightly, then touched Song Manli's hair and said with a doting look, "If I can let you return to that home, I am willing to pay a lot." After hearing this, Song Manli was so moved that she shed tears. Immediately afterwards, Zhao Feiyu received a prompt from the system. Song Manli's favorability value +3. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but roll his eyes. Just 2 points of favorability left. If you add 2 more points, it will be 100 points of favorability. If Zhao Feiyu can reach a deal at that time, he will get 100 times the cash back. That's 10 billion. Thinking of this, Zhao Feiyu suddenly became energetic. If Su Manli's favorability can be raised to 100 points before the sales manager and the homeowner reach a deal, the cashback multiplier for the consumption will still be 100 times. Chapter 27 Song Manli's favorability is 100. Chapter 27 Song Manli's favorability is 100. Zhao Feiyu finally understood. Improving favorability doesn't just rely on money. Especially when it reaches more than 90 points. Every improvement is extremely difficult. During the time when the agency manager went to discuss the villa, Zhao Feiyu took Song Manli to walk around the major shopping malls in Yunduan City. Various brand name bags and cars. After buying things worth tens of millions. Surprisingly, the favorability has only been raised to 99 points. That little bit of favorability was like a ravine, difficult to cross. Just at this time, the agency manager called. Mr. Zhao, I finally negotiated for you to stay at Yinshanju Villa, but the price is a little high. As long as we can negotiate it, any amount is fine. Zhao Feiyu said proudly. On the other end of the phone, the agency manager was immediately delighted and quickly said, the other party had no intention of selling at first because they were not short of money. But God will not let down those who work hard. Just this morning, their son suddenly had a car accident. Although I was fine, I killed the other person. After this incident, the owner agreed to sell the Yinshanju Villa. But they asked for 120 million. Finally, after much persuasion from me, he agreed to sell it for 100 million yuan. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu was immediately delighted. Good job. I promise to give you 5 points of reward, not a penny less. Afterwards, Zhao Feiyu took Song Manli to sign the contract. Thinking of Song Manli's 99 points of favorability, Zhao Feiyu closed his eyes in despair. It seems like this is fate. Come to the agency center. The other party has been waiting for a long time. Just when Zhao Feiyu was about to sign the contract, Song Manli suddenly stopped Zhao Feiyu and said, I think we should go to Yinshanju Villa first. Hearing this suggestion, Zhao Feiyu nodded thoughtfully. Indeed. Although this house used to belong to Song Manli's family, it seems to have passed through several owners over the years. What if something happens to their house? They also have the right to bargain. Afterwards, everyone came to villa number 18 of Yinshanju. When the car stopped steadily in front of the villa, Song Manli couldn't help but burst into tears. He grew up here since he was a child. When I come back here now, everything has changed. Push the door open. The villa still has the familiar layout. However, much of the furniture has already been replaced. Song Manli looked around. My mind is filled with images of the past. Slowly I walked up to the second floor and came to her room. Song Manli pushed the door open and walked in. What Zhao Feiyu didn't expect was that Song Manli was in a hidden corner of the room. I actually found a photo. Seeing this scene, the original owner of the villa suddenly widened his eyes. How did you know there was a photo here? Then he looked at the photo and saw that it was a photo of Zhao Feiyu and Song Manli. The background of the photo is their high school. Their young faces were filled with sweet smiles. The owner of the house suddenly realized, so this house is your home, right? Zhao Feiyu was also moved by this moment and slowly came to Song Manli. Then he gently held her in his arms. Right at this moment, Zhao Feiyu suddenly received a system prompt in his mind. Song Manli's favorability +1, current favorability is 100. Hearing this, Zhao Feiyu was shocked all over. I didn't expect it at this critical moment. Song Manli's favorability level actually increased to 100. Zhao Feiyu couldn't help but feel relieved. If Song Manli hadn't asked to see the house, then this level of favorability may not be achieved. If Song Manli hadn't found this photo in the room, this level of favorability may be difficult to achieve. It all seemed as if it was destined. Slowly letting go of Song Manli, Zhao Feiyu said to the owner of the house with a firm look, sign the contract. Successful consumption, 100 times cashback of 10 billion. Hearing these words, Zhao Feiyu's entire soul seemed to be sublimated. Before that, neither Zhao Feiyu nor Song Manli told her family about this. Only after the transaction was successfully completed did Song Manli take Zhao Feiyu back to her 100 square meter home. Since the last embarrassing incident, Zhao Feiyu never came back. Until today, this is the second time I have officially visited you. To express my apology for last time. Zhao Feiyu went to the mall with Song Manli and bought a lot of gifts for her sister as compensation. As soon as you enter the door, Zhao Feiyu saw a beautiful woman wearing sexy black lace pajamas sitting on the sofa in the hall. Seeing this scene, Zhao Feiyu's eyes widened. Then look. Song Chanhuan's information was displayed immediately. Name, Song Chanhuan. Favorability, 30. Appearance, 96. It's actually 96 points in appearance. Zhao Feiyu's eyes widened. This beauty is even more amazing than Song Manli's. And her figure are simply amazing. Zhao Feiyu couldn't imagine it. Why did Song Chanhuan's husband divorce her? All women like this get divorced. How many people in the world can be more beautiful and sexy than Song Chanhuan? Open the door. Song Chanhuan's gaze turned over. When he saw Zhao Feiyu, he immediately turned his head away in embarrassment. Zhao Feiyu walked in carrying a lot of bags. Aunt Zhang Meiji hurriedly came out of the bedroom and said, "You brought so many things last time. You bought so many more this time. Isn't this a waste of money?" Over the years, Zhang Meiji has gone from being a wealthy lady to an ordinary housewife. This was not a big blow to her. Zhang Meiji is a traditional woman. She possesses the 3 obediences and 4 virtues that a woman should have. Even if there is no money. He also takes care of the daily life of the whole family by himself. She did not leave Song Yunfeng at all because of her family's decline. Of course I should, of course I should. Zhao Feiyu scratched his head and walked towards the sofa. Seeing this, Song Chanhuan quickly stood up from the sofa. Zhao Feiyu quickly gave Song Manli a look. Zhao Feiyu immediately understood. He grabbed his sister and entered the room with a bunch of things. Even though there's a room between us. However, Zhao Feiyu immediately received a prompt from the system in his mind. Song Chanhuan's favorability +5. Song Chanhuan's favorability +5. Song Chanhuan's favorability +5. Just a few minutes. Song Chanhuan's favorability soared from 30 points to 45 points. This shows that all the things I bought today are working. Thinking of this, Zhao Feiyu suddenly became excited. At this moment, Song Yunfeng also walked out of the room. Because Zhao Feiyu said he would invest in him. So Song Yunfeng gave up the restaurant he had just taken over 2 days ago. Seeing Song Yunfeng, Zhao Feiyu immediately stood up and explained, "Uncle, I have already transferred the startup capital for the investment to Manli. You can go to the bank to handle the formalities today. Uncle, you can start now."